All right. And morning, everybody. Well, good evening, whatever the case is. All right, we're just getting the ball rolling. So yeah, it's I don't suppose it's you, Henry, sitting around, is it? Hmm. Yeah, you guys know the drill. We'll wait it out a few minutes here. As folks kind of hop on board here, I suppose. Ah, loving it. We'll get there. Yep. No. Up another dirt, I guess. No worry, no worry. Let's see. This is all the same. Oh, yeah. All the stuff. We'll get there. All right. Yep. Again, we're just waiting out the first few minutes. All right. Welcome back. All right. But so as we're getting started, as you guys know already, it's my buddy Sam. How long ago did we end up meeting?
It'd have to be going on 2 years now, I'd say. Yeah, well, close enough, a year and a half or so.
Yeah, I would say.
About a year and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And how long you been in Vietnam now?
I've been living here for just over 2 years.
Ah, right on.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, pretty well got you off the boat.
Yeah. A few months thereafter, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was that initial trip like?
The initial trip here.
Yeah.
The initial trip was a holiday, an open-ended holiday or traveling, I should say. That was, how long was it? 3 months from bottom to top, basically. Probably about 80% of the country. I still missed a few spots, but I just did the whole lot from the bottom to the very up near the Chinese border. So,
woo-wee!
Yeah.
Woo-wee!
Took my time.
Good. Would you recommend crossing the country like that?
Yes, to anybody, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your thing. If it's not your thing, you want to chill out in a resort for a few weeks.
I suppose.
If that's your motive, it's not mine. Yeah. I want to see as much of it as I can.
Well, I'm
still discovering it now. Being here for 2 years, over 2 years, I'm still, still slowly unraveling.
Sure. Well, like, what would be some recent examples? Like, even after 2 years, you're still discovering new stuff. What would be some examples?
I would say just the places that I'd been through previously but didn't explore thoroughly, such as just even living in Hue now, the cities that are surrounding Hue, just even going north to Dom Hard and Hue, which isn't really notable on the internet, but still fascinating. There's plenty of good historical stuff going on there, and you can get there and get a feel for the place. Completely different to where we live now. The people and the scenery and everything, the food, whatever.
Oh, the food too, huh?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's just an example. It's just either going back to places that I've been before but not seen thoroughly, or going to places that I haven't been completely. I mean, when I say 80% of the country, I mean not literally 80% of the country. That's fucking impossible.
Right.
Yeah. From Ho Chi Minh up to the very, very north, the large majority of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what you mean is, if you were to look at the latitude of here,
yeah,
and then the latitude of your ending, you could definitely say 80%.
Right. I didn't deviate too far each way, which you can do, but you're going to need a few years.
Yeah, that's just it. So we could say, again, why choose Vietnam is really the idea of this whole thing. And kind of one thing that we're hitting on here now is there's a lot to see. Like, you could explore this country the rest of your life easily.
Yeah.
2 years, you could scratch it.
Yep. You just need time.
Mm-hmm. So there's things like I've been to a wedding in Thanh Hoa, which is by Hanoi. And in Thanh Hoa, it's a whole new city, a new accent. They have a lot of dog restaurants. They have the Thuốc Lao, the whole sort of setup. But yeah, the type of food, you're right, is different. I just thought, man, I could spend a few months just in Thanh Hoa, just to get used to those folks. So that would be an example, as well. So These days, do you just take side trips, day trips, weekend trips very often?
Yeah, where I can find the time, I definitely try and utilize it to get out of the city and go somewhere new, or return to somewhere that I've been to and I love, just to explore it more thoroughly once again. But yeah, try and always get to somewhere new at least every few months.
All right,
every few months, yeah.
Counts for something.
Yeah, yeah.
What's been some of the most fun side trips you've taken?
Oh shit. In recent times,
Mhm.
probably just going up, just literally traveling north or south for a matter of a few hours, and you're gonna stumble across a city, or without going into it specifically, just going in any direction a few hours, you're gonna find a city that's completely different than the one you're living in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Long call, you could spend a month down there.
Yeah. Going down to Da Nang, I know Da Nang's like a super developed city of Vietnam, but it's still incredible. It's still incredible. We just take it for what it is. Beautiful beaches. I love going down there and getting familiar with the city, because once again, a place like that's going to take a long time to feel familiar with. I know my way around there pretty well, but certainly not completely. Yeah, because it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah.
In terms of what's on offer to do there's a lot going on there. In terms of like activities to do, beautiful beach, really good bars, cafes, clubs, whatever you can do, it's all going on there.
Right on. And then Rose, maybe you're there, maybe not, but I know Rose is living down in Da Nang and digging it so far, so that goes a long ways. It's a great city,
Yeah,
you know,
really
if that's
good.
what you want.
It's really good. Yeah.
I have thought about living there, as a matter of fact, but
yeah,
good old way.
Depends on what you're into. Yeah.
So, okay, well, great. So you guys, if any of y'all have questions, you're able to fire away. Again, why choose Vietnam? Or if you have any questions for Sam or anything like that, yeah, just fire away. But yeah, beyond that, to go a little bit bigger then.
Yep.
Like, you just take it from here. Why Vietnam? Why this? Why here? How'd you end up here?
It was a little bit of chance and choice. Without going on too long about it, basically, I finished up my job in Australia by choice. I needed to go travel, so I bought a one-way ticket out of Australia, and first stop was Indonesia, second stop was Vietnam. Landed in Vietnam, and then spent a few months here, and then kept on traveling. Went to America and whatnot. Came to Australia, and then I felt like I needed to come back here. Basically, I just needed to come back and see it again, and. I wasn't planning on settling down here by any means. I had an open-ended plan, and it's 2 years later now. I'm still here. Why? I don't know. It's just suitable for me, I suppose, in a lot of aspects.
All right.
Yeah, I would say it's more chance than choice, actually.
Sure.
But after the chance happened, it sort of became a decision to stay here, because it just it grows on you. You sort of you get more rooted in the community, your network, and job opportunities, and you know what's going on here, so it's you have more reasons to live here after that. So
and I would echo that. Like, it's traveling through Asia, any country, but including Vietnam, for your first week is like, wow, there's a lot of new stuff, right? You take a selfie eating a banh mi, you're like, yeah. But that's cool. Your first initial trip is a lot of fun, and that's cool. But after you, what do you call it? Like, live here for a month or two, and you start to know what's going on, it gets better. You know more about the foods. You know the language, of course, yeah, you just make a lot of friends here. Is another example. You know how to get around for cheap and easy. But then when you're here for 6 months, now it feels like home, and it's a different experience again. Because again, you
definitely
know more about it.
I continuously look back 6 months and think, oh shit, I was operating the wrong way back then. But that's just normal. You live somewhere for longer and you become more familiar, and you know how to get shit done and how to move around. And so yeah, I'll have that same feeling again in 6 months' time. I'll look back at it now and think, oh shit, I didn't really know what was going on back then. So
sure,
another good thing about it.
So it only gets better and better, I think, is the big bottom line. That the longer you're here, the better it gets. And so that's one of the really beautiful aspects of it all, is being able to, again, learn more. But what are some examples of stuff that you've learned, or where you facepalm when you think about a year ago?
Jesus, tough question. probably just knowing how to operate on a day-to-day basis, like how to get shit done, how to go about your day, what's the most efficient way of doing things, and then just I would say just completely immersing yourself in the culture. You've got to do it. If you come here and live here, you've got to do that. Otherwise, there's not really any point. You might as well stay home in your home country.
No, I suppose.
You don't want to come here and stay in a bubble. So I would say that's just getting out into every possible situation you can, as weird as it can be.
Yes.
Just expanding your scope a little bit,
Well, hey, speaking of, how many times have you done a speech at a wedding and or sang a song at a wedding?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah.
In Vietnamese, of course. I mean,
yeah,
that's what champions do.
Yeah, the first time it's a bit of a new experience for you, but it becomes a normality after a while. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't know. How many times would you say you've spoken or sang at a wedding then?
A handful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a handful. Both in English and had a crack in their language. Probably failed miserably, but that's all right. It's not the point. No, they appreciate it. That's for sure. Just the fact of getting, and like on a personal, they love it, but on a personal note too, it's getting you out of your comfort zone. First time, completely fuck this. I can't be doing this, but you just get out of your comfort zone. You give it a go. Yep. And you? I'm assuming more than a handful.
Yeah, I stopped counting, after a while. But, the thing is, people know that I can sing and know that I can speak and things like this. I've touched on this in other live streams. But thing is, if you're coming here if you're deaf, mute, and illiterate and know zero Vietnamese people and talk to nobody and check your shoelaces the whole way, well, the challenges you're going to face are, beginner challenges, level 1 kind of challenges. Now, the more integrated you get, the more Vietnamese you speak, the more friends you make, the closer you are to people. Well, they just make it harder. Now they just talk faster. Now they talk about harder topics. Now they talk with thicker accents with more slang. Now they push you harder. Now you have 6 people talking all at the same time and fast speed, purposely trying to confuse you. Now, like when I go to a wedding, they don't just talk, oh, wouldn't it be neat if you can sing? No. They sign the piece of paper on my behalf. And then when the MC calls my name, they'll pull me out of conversation. You're singing. Here it is. Yeah, it's at that level. That wouldn't happen to a beginner, So that would be a really big example or a good example of something where it's like my life is harder than the average person. So pretty much every wedding, I guess I'll put it simple.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth pointing out. You gotta, in my own case too, I got to embrace it. It's a rare day, but there's plenty of situations where I get a little bit nervous. It's being the only white guy surrounded by 30 Vietnamese people. Let's just say zero English, and that whole group. Yeah, that's nerve-wracking the first handful of times. I had a bit of a running start before Vietnam, which is to say, for the last 15 some years, I've been in that position. So I'm a little more used to it than average, but for a lot of people that'd be tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
But once you get used to it, and once you get to that level, it only gets better. It gets harder, but it only gets better. So
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I would say challenging. Definitely. Or there's always a new challenge is another way to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, comparing let's say Vietnam to other Asian countries you've been to, what angles could you compare them? And what do you think?
Oh, geez, they're almost incomparable. I mean, I love all of them. Don't get me wrong. I've been to the majority of countries in Southeast Asia or Asia in general. Still haven't been to a couple, but this was just the most appealing to me. It's probably the most crazy. It's the most friendly. The other countries by no means aren't friendly or crazy, but Vietnam just takes the cake in many ways. It's just the culture and the lifestyle here is just incredible. It's just got this. You can't really just put it into words. You need to come and experience it for yourself. Really. Just the pace of life. It's even in way it's slow, but it's still incredibly fast at the same time in a strange way. In terms of population compared to the big cities, you're looking at 14 million in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. We're looking at about 500K here, so a massive difference.
Sure,
but still, it's busy enough to notice that shit's going on here.
Yeah, depending where you look.
Yeah, yep. but to compare it to other countries, there's so many factors. Food is one. I love the food here. That's one reason to stay here.
Sure, in detail.
I just think the food here is so intricately made.
Now you're talking, yeah.
Intricately made. You get super. They'd be delicacies back home for us, really, but that's just street food here. It becomes a normality, so it's hard to go back to what you used to before. Everything's convenience is another factor. The convenience in Vietnam, I think it can't be matched. Anything you want on a regular basis is just a stone's throw away. It's going to be within 100 meters. Food, beer, whatever it may be, transport, anything. That's another big factor for me living here is convenience.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Super big one.
Yep.
Okay, just to cover convenience, and real quick, did want to say, hey there, Rachel, by the way, welcome back. Always good to have you, hon. Yeah, and you too there, Peter. You got to meet Sam if you haven't yet. You know, the time will come. Peter's living here, by the way.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, super nice fellow.
Yep.
But yeah, comparing the convenience thing, I can't really speak too much for other countries in detail, but what I can say is in Vietnam, shit's on delivery. You know, that's a big deal. That goes a long ways.
Yeah, I'll compare it to Australia just to make it more clear. I suppose any sort of situation. Obviously, everyone knows Australia is a big place. Anything you need is going to be a matter of minutes to do. Like quite a few. You want to grab some beers. Right, there's 30 minutes. You got to get in the car and do that. You know, both of our houses, you get outside and it's on that street. 50 meters away, if that. That's far. There's a factor there. So anything I want to do back home, it's a bit of a mission. And it turns into a sort of a negative thing because I've got to get beers here. It's not a hassle. So your mindset changes because back home something that should be positive, like going out to a restaurant or going out for beers, sort of becomes a burden because the time factor really.
Oh yeah,
you're losing a lot of time to do it. And just purely commuting. So when I talk about convenience, I mean commuting and having just things readily available. Everything's readily available. Yep.
Well, my buddy of mine actually ended up crashing his car. By the way, yoga for homies. Good morning. It might be Rose there, perhaps. Yeah, good morning. But either way, a buddy of mine ended up crashing his car and losing his car and getting arrested in a DUI. Sadly, because it was about midnight and he was drinking and ran out of cigarettes and decided to drive to the store to go and get some. Unfortunately, he T-boned a car. No one got injured, thankfully. But yeah, that's an example of something that would rarely happen in Vietnam. More rarely, mostly because they got cigarettes everywhere. Right. 2, you wouldn't have to go far enough to drive. 3, you can pick up the phone and call folks. 4, they're so cheap, you might as well buy 4 or 5 packs while you're there. And like, just that problem, that situation would not have happened.
Right.
Period. Yep. Because of convenience. So goes a long ways, in that regard.
Definitely.
But okay, Peter brought up a good question here. Work-wise and so forth. I know that's a hard one for guys like us to describe, but take a stab at it.
Yeah, I do a few different things. I work for a tourism company, a local one. They offer tours and car transfers. Obviously, that's one of the major industries in this country. So coming here, I didn't have any experience in that industry, but most of it's common sense. It's just touch and go. You can learn on the job. So I love that. It's a good challenge. And you're working with foreigners a lot of the time, and so they need our help as a foreigner to understand the customer better. So obviously, a foreigner plays a good role within the company to give some insight, because obviously, if you switched it around, if I was in Australia working with Vietnamese people coming into Australia, yes, I'm going to want a Vietnamese guy to be handling shit for me. So obviously, the tourism industry is good for foreigners here. So I work in that company doing sort of like a range of roles, like sales. I write a little bit of content, sort of a mixed bag, but it's good. A lot of freedom, and it's challenging. You sort of take it upon yourself to improve at it, and it's majority of it's common sense, really. And then the other job is obviously English teaching. I work at a English centre on Saturday and Sundays, and sometimes work online as well, like freelancing, in the free time that I've got. But yeah, I've sort of given that away recently. So at the moment, it's just the two main jobs. It's working for the tourism company and also working as an English teacher on the weekends, teaching young kids from about 4 to 12. Our schools, there's a lot of English centres in Hue, obviously, that have popped up in the last few years, and the majority of them are for the wealthy, unfortunately, which is fine. But our school is one of the rare ones that's for the lower socio demographic, which is good. So it's more fulfilling in my perspective because you can teach these kids that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to go to an English centre. And obviously, learning English is a massive, massive thing right now for them. They need to be learning it if they want to. If they want to go to another big city or go to another country. Obviously, we're lucky enough to be born into countries where they speak it, but they weren't. So, yeah, it's super fulfilling is what I'm getting at. I really like working at that centre because, you can give these kids a bit of a hand up and, give them a bit of a dream for their future, whatever they want to do. Whatever they want to do. Yeah.
Well, and to keep it in proper perspective, too, take my wife, for example. She actually makes more money than a doctor, meaning a doctor in a hospital, cutting legs off, delivering babies. She makes more working at a front desk. Yep, working at the front desk of a hotel and selling tickets, helping out with tours, and communicating with people.
Right.
So the value of her being able to communicate, and for that matter, understand an Australian accent, understand an English accent, know the slang, make people feel comfortable. Yep. That's more valuable than a PhD. So to be fair, a lot of folks do come here to teach English, but there's a reason for that. No, definitely. No doubt about it.
Yep.
But you would agree too that there's not only the teaching English part, but also the helping folks with the culture aspect with like what are some examples of culture clashes that you've had with coworkers of yours or in your work, if anything?
I wouldn't say clashes, but we just operate differently, I suppose. Just on a fundamental level, we operate differently, and that's something you're going to have to come to terms with. So, just the way we go about things back in our countries is different to the way they go about their things.
Sure. Would you have any examples?
I would say, to be blunt, probably we are more face-to-face back home. We are more like direct with talking. They might beat around the bush a little bit. It would be less clear with certain expectations. So you might have to go hunt for it here, what's expected of you, whereas back home you're getting told exactly, clearly, this is what's expected of you. This is bang, 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 bang.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit of a difference that I had to adjust to. You've got to be more proactive in terms of communication because naturally I would say they are less confrontational, less, less clear.
Okay. All right.
So that's one. I would say that's probably the main one and the only one besides that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I met a lot of Sam's coworkers, and they're great fellas.
No, fantastic.
Great ladies
fantastic
and all that. Yeah. I could see working with them really well.
Yep.
And they're open-minded, most importantly.
Yeah, of course, because they've been, they've had a lot of communication with tourists and foreigners, and so they definitely have a better understanding of how we think, and because there are a lot of differences. Yeah.
So, what could you say, Sam, about work opportunities here in Vietnam, unrelated to teaching English? What can you say about that in general?
Yeah, there's no shortage whatsoever. No matter what field you're in, there's opportunities here. Anything at all. Actually, my background was and is only in a gym back home. So that's all I did, and that's all I knew for however many years, like 5 or 6 years. And I didn't know much else but outside of that. So I came here and did 2 completely different professions, tourism and teaching English. But if I wanted to go back to that, yes, of course, that industry is gigantic here. It's taking off like it was 20 years ago in Australia.
The personal fitness
health
angle.
and fitness is really sort of booming here. There will be one opportunity. Anything else, like, oh God, anything, you name it.
You can pretty well do it. And
exactly.
Rose there, I know are teaching yoga, if I understand things right, and potentially teaching surfing, in the long run, among other things. So, there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been telling folks, hey, if you're into fixing stuff, there's work for you, provided you're independent and that kind of thing. If you're into copywriting and writing blog posts or something like that, yep. If you go in the right angle, there's work here for you. Yeah, hotel industry among others.
Yeah, anything.
So yeah, and I would rank that pretty high in my own list of reasons why Vietnam in particular is a good place, because work. It's easy to find work. It's easy to find things to do and gainful employment. You can make a living here really easy, legally speaking, but along the way, just there's opportunities everywhere, small towns, villages, and major cities. So yeah, finding work pretty much no matter who you are. There's a few people that I've met that, they're fools, but to put it blunt, but they like tattoos. So they just hang out and make friends with the tattoo guys. Next thing you know, they make a couple $100,000 a day just to sit outside and greet people and talk about tattoos. That's it. All they're good at is one topic and just talking. They can't even do a tattoo, but they still found work here. Yeah. So yeah, that would be an example.
Yeah. Well, that just shows that there's a demand for your presence, really, demand for your service. Because obviously you being out front of that shop, that can generate more money for that business because you're out there talking to people, getting it well known. So you're certainly not exploiting anyone along the way. You're making a little bit of money off it, and you're helping the business out. So you know, the job offer wouldn't be there unless they, if they didn't need you, they wouldn't be asking you to, hey, hang around here for however much a day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, work opportunities everywhere. And it was funny. I went out the other day. I do, I've got my flyers and business card. But yeah, in one night, let's say from 4 p.m. until 11 p.m. So let's say 7 hours, in one day. Probably 25 flyers. And I passed out about 15 business cards. And 4 people specifically wanted to learn only with me. Like, for example, they're traveling to America as an exchange student. Okay, and they want to know about life in Arizona. They want to call me and talk to me only. Something like that. Yep. But it was funny just how many people just approach you and, hey, can you help me with XYZ? I would say if you go out and meet enough people, there's work everywhere. Everywhere.
The first step is just putting yourself out there.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, the biggest factor. And probably the biggest factor that prevents people from meeting people here and obviously saying something negative, it's not, there's no opportunity or it's not for me. It's like they haven't put themselves out there to begin with. You can't know about it until you get out there and be proactive and meet people face to face. And it's just comes to you on a silver platter after that, really.
Yeah.
Just put yourself out there and start.
So tell me more about that with you. Like, how did you put yourself out there? How did you meet your first batch of 200 people or whatever the case is?
I suppose coming here from Oz, Aussies are super friendly most of the time, but obviously in Western culture, there is a bit more of a barrier between people when they meet face to face. People don't have time to, talk shit and stop and meet new people so much. They just want to get from A to B and do their thing. But over here, it's not like that. So you need to adjust. People do want to stop. People do want to get to know you and talk to you. And, you might, 1 out of 10 times you might think, oh, shit, I really need your help. And they might think that about you. So I just became proactive in meeting the right people, or I tried to make sure I did. It doesn't really matter who they are too much, but just networking as much as you can, meeting people and, talking to them about what you do. And I've met a few incredibly smart local people who I've learned a shitload off. So, and after that you become friends and they'll ring you up if they need help from you. And, there's a job opportunity as well. And vice versa. If I need their advice on many things that I haven't wrapped my head around locally, they're there in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Yep.
I did want to say that I wanted to bring Sam on today because he's one of the rare guys, one of the 1%ers that actually jumps in, gets out of the bubble and jumps in and actually meets people. And và bây giờ có thể nói tiếng Việt giỏi vì hàng ai nói tiếng Việt, phải không?
Yeah, được.
And,
Chưa giỏi nhưng mà được chứ.
Nhưng mà giỏi, But, actually hanging with Vietnamese people every day goes, hey, there, good to see you, Travis. Good old long diggity. Welcome, buddy. But no, like getting in and learning the language is a game changer.
It's a necessity.
Necessity.
It's a necessity, in my opinion. And I think that's a personal battle with yourself. I mean, no one's got any excuse not to learn it. I think if you go to Australia or America, you're expected to speak English. So why come here and not at least try to be proactive in learning the language for multiple reasons? One, it's polite. Secondly, you cannot understand anything about their culture or history that thoroughly until you speak their language. I don't care what anyone says. It brings you to a next level. You can be a historian or whatever and, know it all by English, but until you can communicate, at least on a basic level with them in Vietnamese, you start on, it starts sort of revealing itself in a new way, the culture and the people. And thirdly, you can't operate properly in the majority of the country unless you speak the language, because the majority don't speak English. So that was another big reason that I chose to at least try to learn it, was because I was sick of, because I did from Saigon up to the very north. At that time, I didn't speak a single lick of Vietnamese, and I struggled a lot of times, and I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like I don't like going out and not being able to stand. I don't like, being able to just do daily things such as purchasing things. You need help, or you need to know directions or something like that. As soon as it makes life 10 times easier as soon as you just get those basics down pat, which aren't that hard. It's just purely down to discipline, really. I mean, 90% of the time I can't be fucked learning the language, but you just got to push through it and because it pays off. It pays off in every situation. You can meet new people, you can go in any direction and operate normally. So yeah, I definitely think anyone who is choosing to live here should dedicate, at least a small amount of time just getting the basics down pat. It's going to make life a whole lot more enjoyable here in many aspects. It's going to make things cheaper. You're going to meet more people. You can travel wherever you want without feeling uncomfortable. Because I would say that's a big factor that a lot of foreigners don't like leaving certain areas of the country, because obviously you want to operate within your comfort zone, and that is in your own language, obviously. So as soon as you get the basics down pat, you can go out to rural areas. You can go to villages and operate, and get by. And it makes it a whole, instead of seeing that as an area that you feel uncomfortable and it's strange and weird, when you can communicate with them and, get down to on a local level, it turns it from a negative thing into a very positive experience, So I think there's 101 reasons why you should at least have a crack. You don't have to be fluent. You should just have a go. There's no reason not to. We've all got the time to do it.
That is a fact. And plenty of people to practice with.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not exactly an obscure language when you're here.
Oh. Yeah, the fastest way to learn is just get on the street, start listening.
Yeah, and little simple things too, like being able to call a taxi company and call a cab for yourself. You don't need that many words. I could probably teach you all the words you need in 10 minutes. 30 tops. Come on. And after that, you're done. Most people learn to count to 10. One gal, 6 minutes and 42 seconds. She can count to 10. The amount of words you need to be able to order coffee and order food, 10 words tops. And there's not that hard. So by just undertaking, like, let's say I'm half an hour, I'm going to learn how to order coffee or order food. Done. Order a taxi. Let's just say.
Yeah. I came here with a mindset of obviously the wrong mindset the first time, and that's shit. I can't call a taxi. Shit, I can't order this coffee, in a certain place by English. That's frustrating and annoying for me. But then you sort of think about it logically. It's not their mother tongue. Many of them haven't had the opportunity to learn our language for whatever reason, whether it be financial or there's not, there's not an education program available for them. So why should I expect them to communicate in my mother tongue when I'm in their country? So that was a sort of wake up call to get out there and, every day you find yourself in a situation where you can't communicate with them. So that's what you do. After that, you go out and learn that, so next time it doesn't happen again.
Right.
The fastest way for learning for me is just, those practical daily situations. Shit, I got stuck then. All right, we'll go out and learn that vocab or that structure, and then, next time it doesn't happen again. And you slowly put the pieces of the puzzle together, and, you go through a whole day where there's not a single situation where you can't, communicate. And it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, like, for example, I didn't know words about motorbiking. I know what a motorbike is, but I couldn't say to them, tighten up my chain and please adjust the idle. and also check the front inner tube of my tire. Okay, I didn't know those words. But yeah, one day I actually took a buddy who's bilingual, sat him down, pointed piece by piece. What's this? What's this? What's this? And wrote it down. And it didn't take more than 20 minutes, half hour, and got all the main stuff down. And then I would cross-reference that with Google Images. All right, well, sum up. Okay. Oh, inner tube. All right, every single pictures of an inner tube. Got it. Sum up. And then once it was all written down, I flashcarded it, and then I would actually go and talk about my bike, with other Vietnamese people. Within a day, got it. Got every word that I need. Yeah, and now that's another topic that I've gotten in my back pocket, or another arrow, in my quiver. So, yeah, I kind of, in a lot of cases, maybe you do the same. Pick one topic and then just jump in.
Yeah. I just go from a need to know basis, really, and that's obviously one. I'm not. I don't know any vocab about motorbikes, but if you just put yourself out there and you think, shit, I need to know that, shit, I need to know that, because you're going to be doing certain things every day without doubt. You're going to be ordering coffee. You're going to, maybe be calling a taxi. You're going to be going to the train station. You're going to be doing this, this, and this. So you need to get those things down pat. Then if you want to, there's no point learning things that you're not going to use, frequently.
Right.
That makes sense. So.
Right, and like in my own case, they wanted me to be the MC at a biking event. Oh, okay. Well, now I need words like "shukian," "say that," or "song dao tian," I need to know words like first place finisher, event organizers, emceeing, Peloton groups, course length, stuff like that, like a pit stop. I would never know those words. Or warm up. Okay, warm up area.
But if you bust your ass for a day, it's done.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah. I went onto their website.
You just got to get it done.
Yep.
A lot of the time it's not enjoyable, and a lot of the times it's not going in directly or quickly, but you just get it done, and then, yep, cool, that was worth it.
Right. Or in my case, I get a case of beer. Let's get serious. And one night banged it all out. So the next day I'm ready to rock. Yeah. So yeah, I think just having the balls to jump in, when it comes time to a difficult subject. Learning the language of Vietnamese is not a one-time decision. Okay, a lot of people make that mistake. They're like, "All right, dun, 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 dun. I'm motivated. I have decided Vietnamese is one thing I'm going to learn. Dun, 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 dun. See, I decided now." No, it's 1,000 small decisions. Today, are you going to say this in English or Vietnamese? They're speaking Vietnamese. Are you going to turn your ears on and really struggle and yes or no? Are you going to learn how to get the train station in English or in Vietnamese? Or you could just turn your shoulder and ask in English. You have to make that decision every time. So it's 1,000 small decisions, maybe 10 decisions a day. Are you going to do it or not? It's not a one-time decision. Do you see what I mean? Or would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's just consistency for
sure. Yeah. So great. There's a lot to be said about the language, and we're going to keep hitting on this quite a bit because this is the game changer. This is the game changer. This is the difference between living in the bubble and not. Now, whether you know Vietnamese or not, you're going to find yourself comfortable out here, which means that next thing you know, 2 years deep, you can barely count to 10 and can't do anything on your own. But you've been comfortable enough and you could barely make it. But you just absolutely don't know what you're missing, so that's the big thing is you don't know what you're missing, in the long run, right? Definitely. Knowing what I know now, I can't go back in time, or I can't imagine being here for years in Vietnam without knowing Vietnamese. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. That's 90% of my friends I wouldn't have, probably 70% of the opportunities that have come up that just wouldn't have come up. Because of which,
definitely.
So it's without knowing, it's hard to measure the stuff that doesn't happen, that kind of thing. But okay, cool. Well, all right. To kind of phase shift a little bit, the cost and money and cost. Actually, cost of living, money coming in, and time. Are three critical how you can measure the world wherever you're at.
Yep.
That world. You know what I'm talking about. What can you say about that?
Comparing to back home or?
Sure.
I would say you have a lot more control over here in terms of both financials and time. You can sort of dictate how much you earn. You can dictate how much free time you have. Much easier than you come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of the stresses or the financial burdens are mitigated here that you do have back home. They're just not a factor, such as just the boring things that you don't have to pay for, mate, that you've got to back home, petrol, taxes, all that crap that you do have to take into account on a daily basis, and they do become a stress. And these high salaries that we get in Western countries all of a sudden don't become that high because a large chunk of it is going to things that we don't have to pay for, but we do have to. Over here, not a factor. So you go through things like, rent's going to be cheaper, even relatively to the salary. It's cheaper here.
Oh yeah, you know, as a percent of your salary.
Right. So say if the rent is cheaper, even factored in the difference in wage. Things like petrol mitigated, mobile phone bills. Once again, I don't know about in America, but in Australia, it's just ludicrous. Like it really is just laughable, really. The percentage of your salary that will go to paying for something like that. Once again, you don't really have that here. Relatively, it just is. It's peanuts here. So small things like that do make a difference. I suppose financially links with mentally very quickly because you don't have to stress and think about them as much. They just don't become a daily factor where they're on your mind. I might be back home out with friends and you're still thinking about those kind of things. I've got to go pay that tomorrow. I've got to do this, got to do that, got to dedicate this amount of money for this. You don't have to do that here. All of a sudden, it's like forgotten. So it's very difficult to go back into that environment and have to think about it again.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Like in my own case, I was lucky because I was doing, let's say, 3 months in Vietnam and the Vietnamese way of thinking, and then 3 months in America, and then 3 months in Vietnam, 6 months in America, back and forth, so I can compare side by side the two ways of thinking, two approaches of money, two aspects of culture, languages, how people act, lifestyle. I can compare all of that exactly side by side. So it was really interesting in that regard to think about it or notice a lot of things I never noticed. And the amount of shit you got to worry about back at home, it didn't occur to me while I was there throughout all these years because everyone's got so much stuff to pay for all the time. That's a common thing, like your car insurance. So your tab's up to date. What about your license? When does that expire? Well, I don't know. When's the last time you changed your oil? Oh, the sticker fell off. Oh, shit. Blah, 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 blah. The car could break down. So you got to have $1,000 just sitting there just in case that contingency were to come up. That's just the car only. That's before we're getting too deep. But here that just drops to zero.
Yep.
And I've just never had that worry be zero before. Nor would I expect to own a car in America worry-free and cost-free. That wouldn't make sense either.
Once again, something that's considered a luxury in these countries, they look at it like we're so lucky to have a car. It actually is more of a burden. I'm happy with a motorbike over here, mate. No problems with that at all. I'll take the downgrade. And not just financially, time-wise too. Like if you got a breakdown back home, breaks down on Thursday, you ring them up, I'll get you in on Tuesday. The fuck, got to wait 4 days to fix a car, and I'm paying like a ludicrous amount for it, and you $3.15 on Tuesday. That's it. The next booking is the next Saturday. You got to wait another 4 days if you can't come in. Vietnam, 5 minutes, any direction. Yep, you're going to find someone who will fix on the spot, not muck you around. They're there ready to go.
Yep.
So that's just another huge factor. It's just the time. You can get it as soon as there's a problem. You can have it fixed within minutes.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at.
The amount of time it takes to go into Jiffy Lube and walk into the front desk, shake hands with the guy, ask for an oil change, and then have him check his clipboard, get some information, and then ultimately complete the payment. And right before you go and sit down in the waiting chair. In Vietnam, it's done already.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you don't sit.
No consultation fee.
No. Right. And so, breakdowns are not a worry. Okay, Travis Schneider, I had my transmission rebuilt for $44. Yeah, right. Exactly. And they probably had to drive their balls off to get the part, and worked at it. And yeah. It's not like you have auto issues and then all of a sudden, like, it ruins your week or ruins your month, And we've talked about this a lot. Like, the auto issue or the transportation issues is a big thing.
Well, not just the cost of the actual materials itself in Western countries, but also the labor markup. Like it's a ridiculous amount. Just to meet someone face to face, you got to pay them $35 or $70 or whatever it may be, just to talk to somebody. Here, obviously they're paying for the parts, and then their markup they skim off the top to pay for their own salary. It's minimal compared to over there, because there's just so much red tape over back home. They've got to pay for their licensing. They've got to do all these things. So obviously they need to jack up their labor costs. Whereas, operating business in Vietnam is much more straightforward. It's sort of like, you want to do something, you go for it.
Right.
So the mechanics are just going to obviously not, mechanics, one example, not going to stooge around as much. There's no bullshit, This is what I bought for you, and then they'll put it on in numbers for you. This is what I'm taking off top, for myself. Because I worked on it for 2 or 3 hours or whatever.
Right.
There's nothing else to take into account. Whereas back home, there's just this list of things,
Lube fee. Like they got me one time for 1997 lube fee. And I'm like, speaking of lube, I need that when I'm like looking at your bill. Like, I mean, how do you go from 250 to 370 or 325? Markups, extra shit, and yeah, that's a thing. Not here. So yeah, that simplicity and the repair aspect is a big deal, and it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And actually, since we're on the topic, one angle about Vietnam that I think is really, really good and is really different than America is repairing stuff. In America, we repair big stuff. For example, your furnace, your hot water heater, your car, stuff like that. But in Vietnam, they repair even the tiny stuff. Like a good example of this is our fan broke. Like the blade, broke or something like that. Well, in America, you throw it away, bro.
Yeah.
There's no other way of doing it reasonably. Certainly not cheaper than getting a fan. Certainly for more than zero time. How long? Blah 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 blah.
They will repair that thing here.
Until house calls.
Its last leg.
Yeah.
Until it literally cannot function anymore.
Yeah. And when you run out of solder to solder, right. Yeah. So you get some fans that were like probably bought in the 80s, that are still like,
It's not beautiful. Yeah.
So
which is good too. Like, why throw it away if you can still.
Yeah. Definitely. But to put this as a nice comparison, in America, environmentally speaking, well, hell, that's not going to get recycled. Come on now. Not realistically. It's going to get thrown away in a big trash dumpster, effectively, especially one for appliances. And it's going to be a pain in the ass to throw it away. I might even have to pay money to throw it away, let alone drive it to the dump myself. But in Vietnam, nah, just pick up the phone, and like 8 minutes later, a dude comes by, oh, yeah, I know what that is, lights a cigarette, and 5 minutes later comes back with the part already done. And I'm like, oh, I could install this myself. All right. Oh, what do I owe you? Oh, 50,000, $2. Okay, here I thought you wanted to make money today, but all right. Done. Sticker still on it. Yeah. So,
and half the time you can sit there and watch them do it. So it's not only good for several factors. You can sit there and watch him do it, and then I can do that myself next time. Mm-hmm. Next time it breaks down. So it sort of definitely forces you to be slightly more practical. I get the guilt up because I think, shit, I should know how to do that. Yeah. So then you just learn on the go. Something breaks, someone's just going to fix it for you. Watch them do it. Cool. Got that next time myself.
Right. So I guess the angle of fixing things is insane compared to America. And again, in America, they fix big stuff. But like I had it happen 3 times where my washer and or dryer broke. And it's cheaper for me to throw it out in my front yard, call someone to pick it up for free, and then find another one for $50 on Craigslist, another used one, haul that bastard in. That's easier and cheaper than having a repair guy is $150, $200.
It's a sad reality, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's actually $60 just to have them look at it. Yeah, which I understand, and that's fair. They got to make a living, etc. But that's the difference. Here, they look at it for free, and they'll be there in 20 minutes. And yeah, it's a good deal. So yeah, less shit gets thrown away. Okay, here to repair is just cheaper and easier and more convenient to a level I've never seen before.
And that comes from them not having the luxury of being able to do that, you know, which is a good thing, really, because it teaches them to be, you know, to be like that. You know, don't throw it away if it still can, you know, we can fix it and get it working. Everywhere should be like that, really.
Right. I even a small thing, like I brought in my chandelier in my house and it wasn't really working very well and all that, but I got it off the ceiling and I brought it into the light guy and he busted all the wires. He's like, oh, well, you're going from, you know, AC power, then over to DC and this and that. And then this has got the ballast here. And how about this? We'll bypass this ballast. We'll get it all set up for LED lighting. So now this will go from 120 watts down to about 3 watts of electricity. And it'll create no heat and it'll work right now today. Okay, great. And he rewired it, soldered it, tied this off, handed it back to me, and then sold me the 3 bulbs, and they were 50 cents a pop. Right. So for $1.50, this guy
and he's loving it too.
Oh, and he's loving it. Yeah.
That's all he does.
And then on top of that, he was like, here's my ladder. Right. Just use it away, and then bring it back when you get right. That would not reasonably happen in America, I don't think. No. Yeah, I wouldn't think. But here, and I don't know what his profit margin is on it, but he doesn't care. He just loves it. That's a thing in Vietnam. I love that. I love that.
Loving your profession, just loving what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing too is he's not an employee. You know, his name is Tong. The store is called Tong's Electronics. This is Tong. All right. What's your name, buddy? And that's the thing. And he knows he wants to build a relationship and wants to be your friend. He wants to wave at you every time you drive by. It'd be great if you need anything, go to him. If he doesn't have it, he'll call. You know, something like that.
Right.
And now I got an electronics guy. When I swapped out all my bulbs for the fluorescent ones for all LEDs, I brought the old fluorescents to him, and I'm like, here, just take them because I don't want to throw them away. And you could probably find somebody that'll take them for free or sell them for $1. I don't care. And he was like, oh, hey, well, this is thoughtful. I'll do something with them. Sure. Yeah, it's a relationship. So I have that less in America. I don't recall that exactly, except for the Mexicans repairing your car. Yeah. But in general, people are really, again, repair kind of culture, save you money, build a good relationship with you. They'll drive and meet you, and they're fast. They're fast. And if they can't help you, they'll literally will call a buddy who can. That's the other thing. It's how often would it happen in America that you go to a parts store or you go to a repair shop of some kind, and then they come back and they say like, hey, we don't have time to fix your car today. But I tell you what, we called the other 5 repair shops already, and this other repair shop will actually do it cheaper than us, and they do have an availability this afternoon. So you want me to drive you there, and I'll show you where they're at? That wouldn't happen.
No, never.
It would in Vietnam for sure. Oh yeah. So yeah, you Long Don, you need a certified electrician just to have the conversation. Oh yeah, in a lot of these instances, right? So yeah, saving the environment. I made this. It's kind of a hippie thing to talk about, but I did make a blog post that going green happens automatically here in Vietnam, and to me, that's a major factor.
Yeah.
The amount, yes, and the repairing stuff is a major angle. The less garbage is a major angle. Recycling, they recycle way more in Vietnam because this cardboard still has value. You know, this milk jug or water jug still has value. We'll put gas in it. We'll make a pot for a flower. We'll use it as a bucket. We'll, you know, something like that.
Definitely.
Amount of electricity that you need, you know, I would say goes way down. But
I'm certainly more conscious of it. I try to keep it at a minimal here. Not for financial reasons necessarily. You just don't need it.
Right.
Like you need the odd fan here and there, obviously, to get by. But yeah, just naturally when I think about it, my output is next to nothing, really. Whereas back home, you got power boards coming out of power boards, everything's turned on 24/7. You're just not conscious at all.
Right.
You just simply don't care. So yeah, I suppose people do focus on the pollution in this country a lot, when in reality, yes, it can be an issue, but the majority of it is super, proactive, and they recycle, and they are getting it done.
Right. Well, I mean, the pollution aspect, it is true. Like motorbikes, for example, don't have catalytic converters, so like cars would. In other words, the pollution coming out the back of a motorbike is worse than the pollution coming out the back of a car. True. But in America, using American measurement, these suckers get 120 miles to the gallon instead of 30. That's a factor. That's a major factor.
Yeah.
I mean, and you may not drive necessarily as far, that kind of thing. In other words, we might do in America, what, $300 a month worth of petrol, or maybe $400, depending. I was in the thousands when I was selling, but still, here, what are you talking a month? $10, 15?
Yeah, 10 or $15, depending on what you're doing. Back home, when a mate rings you, do you want to catch up? He's 30 minutes away. You're thinking it's going to cost me $20 to catch up with a mate. So
Yeah.
Once again, something that should be,
a fun thing.
Positive vibes turns into a bit of a, you don't want to be looking at your wallet to catch up with a mate, and that's another factor that's mitigated here. You know what I mean? If you want to catch up with your mate, you go do it. You don't think twice about it.
Right.
Back home, you're taking into account time. I don't have enough time to do this. Driving that 30 minutes and home, it's $20 or $30 in petrol. It's a sad way at looking at catching up with your mate. So, sorry.
No, okay, yeah, no, you're right about that having to be a factor. But yeah, Rob, welcome, Rob. Yeah, you brought up a great point, buddy. Reduces electric bill by 33%, but turning off his cable box and only turning it on when you need it. Yep. Apparently they're super inefficient. Cable company doesn't. Yep. Doesn't care because you're paying the bill. Right. Ghost electricity like that, is kind of what they call it, or electricity you're not really using. That's totally a real thing that we don't really pay attention to in America. You just, or in a lot of other countries, you just expect your power bill is going to be about $100 pretty much no matter what you do, or more or whatever. But here, like, oh, hell no, I would shut it all off. I would have all my TV and all that stuff on one switch, I love that Vietnam used a lot of hydropower compared to Australia burning
sorry
coal.
About that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. As a matter of fact, we live next to a hydropower.
Yeah.
The dam. I forget what the name of the dam is, but
right. It's so hard for us to turn around now because there's a huge industry, so they can't really.
RZ.
In Oz, obviously, she's talking about using coal. It's just such a huge money-making industry, so it's just almost impossible to bring down. Whereas once again, as Rachel said, the way they go about it's much better, much better.
Here, well, I mean, to connect in hydropower, that's an example project that they have out here that's highly justifiable. The big justification is flooding. It cuts back on flooding big time. Because they built a big reservoir kind of ordeal. So
yeah, it's win-win in every aspect, really.
Yep. So you save people's lives. So yeah, it's easy to vote that one in. But yeah, then it's able to draw fresh water and keep fresh water there. Oh, and it's up on a hill conveniently, so that all you got to do is pipe it in with 0 pumps. Perfect. And on top of that, yeah, you get electricity for the city. And yep, that's totally a thing. Pretty much free electricity, pretty much indefinitely.
Right.
So yeah, that was a triple win. No, we do have hydro in the United States, obviously, and I'm sure there's some here and there, but yeah, it's
nothing to the extent that it is.
Right. No, there's to talk about electricity in the world a little bit too. The idea of like buying a solar panel and having that on your roof in order to have juice and whatnot, that would be an idea of something I would expect would take off faster in Vietnam than it would in the United States. To say it a different way, when the technology gets to the right point where solar panels and batteries are all smiling or whatever, yeah, I could see a lot of Vietnamese people who have a light bulb for their living room being like, oh, I just put this solar panel up and then I don't have to pay for any electricity for my house whatsoever ever again. Yeah. You'd see tons of them out here because they're practical people. And yes, one thing I noticed is a lot of my friends and family will have a single light for their entire living room. One big light bar. It looks like a fluorescent light bar. That's it.
Gets the job done.
Gets the job done. Yep. You don't need more than that.
Right.
And I go to America and then I see 14 skylights. And I'm like, why do you need 14 of them? And why do you need them in curved patterns recessed into the ceiling? You could get the job done with a single light bar over there for 9 watts if you wanted to. Yeah.
I think it's a bit stupid.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Again, it's a factor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Rob. Okay, this video, again, I assume you're referring to cable box and saving electricity. Hey, thank you, buddy. That will be worth a watch, definitely. So yeah, resource usage. Oh, and there's another big one. Yeah, a reason I love Vietnam, resource usage, but heat and cold. Like I don't need an air conditioner and I don't have hot water. What's left? A tea kettle? Okay, I guess. That's on for 5 minutes. 2 minutes, actually. What's left? We don't have TV. No big furnace to run. No electric stove. What's left? No microwave. No oven. No toaster. What's left? Shit. Fans, I guess, and fans and a computer. That's about it. An occasional LED light. But you just don't need stuff, here. So the concerns about it are really, really, really low.
Right.
So anyway, other aspects of resource usage. What else could you say about that? And I'll go grab a fan.
Resource usage.
Or
I don't know, mate. Can you think of anything on the spot?
Yeah, sure. Any other ways of saving money here? Saving resources, saving petrol, stuff that you don't need to buy here that you do need to buy back at home.
Right.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. God, where do you start? In terms of petrol, I mean, that just happens automatically because obviously everything's much closer proximity than it is back home for us. The cost of petrol is not only cheaper, but everything's close by. So you can go by bicycle or walk if you want to do that. Then you're not using it whatsoever. Another crazy factor for me, it's not necessarily resource related, but it is more expensive here for me to go to the supermarket, buy the ingredients to cook a meal than it is to go buy a meal. Wouldn't that be right, Brad?
Yes.
Right, which is just sort of, it's a hard thing to fathom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get people all the time who say, oh, yeah, I need a kitchen so I can cook at home. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, the bowl of Boone hen costs in American dollars 35 cents. There's no chance in hell I'm going to buy 14 unique ingredients and then ultimately sit at home, spend the next hour and a half cooking that myself. And there's no way it's going to be cheaper. No way.
Do you throw away food? No.
Okay. Yeah, Rusty, sounds great for an expat or traveler who would be coming without much at all. Right. There's a biblical proverb talking about the eye of the needle, It's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to crawl through the eye of a needle. Weird translation, but ultimately what that means is go as minimal as you can, my friend. And once you realize that you don't need this shit, you don't need it, that's where you're free. That's when you start to become free. And yes, toaster's a good example. There's a lot of appliances. When I went back from here to America, and then I look at my kitchen counter, bang, 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 power strip. I'm like,
and 99% is just not necessary.
Yeah.
Just not necessary.
How many times do I use it? Yeah.
Very, very rarely. And you could get by if you didn't have it.
Right.
That's the point, is that, right, you might use it once in a blue moon, but it's just not a necessity.
Right.
It's not a necessary purchase, not necessary to have it use electricity, whatever. So especially if you're a greenie, which I'm not overly, but I mean, it just once again happens naturally.
Yeah, I'm not overly greenie, but yeah, since I'm here anyway, what the hell?
You're right. You just learn to live off the bare minimum.
My Viet family says it's healthier cooking at home than eating out, but same cost really.
I agree. I do agree with that. I cook,
What meal are we talking? I picked the most extreme cheapest food here with the most ingredients. and the most convenient. Yeah, so I picked an extreme example, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, obviously, the style of cooking is, for flavor. I don't know if you're talking about the quality of nutrition or whether it's clean or dirty. Whether it's clean or dirty, I would say that I've got a very, very large handful of places that are completely clean at a street level, completely clean. The method of cooking, though, however, is not suitable for me. Obviously, they're cooking for flavour, a lot of oil, a lot of sugar, a lot of salt. If you're into that, it's fine. But if you're not concerned with the nutrients necessarily, I mean, they are clean. There's a bit of a stigma that they're not, but if you actually go in there and have a look, I've said this 1,000 times since living here. I trust food off the street here over a restaurant because at the end of the day, that street food joint, whatever it may be, is selling one thing and one thing only every day without doubt. They go to the market, everything's new, fresh, clean. They clean up that day. Next morning, they're at it again. Restaurant, big place. Tourism goes up and down. They're not full. They've got to cut corners. Shit goes in the freezer. That's got a few more days left in it. In terms of a health perspective, it's much more dangerous. So tourists will come here and go to restaurants thinking it's a safer option for tourists. Street food's dangerous. I would completely say it's the opposite because I know plenty of restaurants that are empty day in, day out. Shit, they're not going to throw out their stock. They're not going to throw out their stock. So in terms of a dirty or a health perspective, I would say the street's safer because, once again, they've gone to the market that day and everything's it's like Groundhog Day. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And, from a Western's perspective, it may seem like it's dirty at a street, but it's not. The reality is that it's not. It's not at all.
Right.
So the only aspect I'd say in terms of health and the reason I do cook at home is that I like to know what's going into what I'm cooking.
Fair. Yeah, and actually to that same point, Rachel, and thank you for bringing these ideas up, okay, look, if I were to go out and buy, make soup, pork soup, to pick an example, pick some data points. Well, thing is, I would be actually buying it from the local market here, in my own case. But you know what? The pork soup woman also bought pork from the exact same market. So, and by the way, she is highly incentivized to do a good job with it and pick high quality meat because
cutthroat.
Because it's cutthroat out here.
She's not as good as the place down the road.
There's 8 places on one street, y'all.
So they do take pride in it.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see them shut down shop very quickly if they're not, because they get no one there, so they stop. Doing
right. If they pick poor quality meat,
right.
People like me, I'm gonna know right away.
Right.
How dare you? You know what? I got a choice. All I gotta do is walk an extra 10 meters. See ya. Right. If you treat me right, I'll be here every damn day. For the next 20 years. Right. So they're actually, in a lot of ways, heavily incentivized to do a good job like that. In my opinion, under these circumstances, in the area I happen to be living in, is it possible that some areas will purposely choose lower cuts of meat, especially if it's just a touristy pass-through one-day thing? Probably. I'm sure you'd find examples of that. Sure. I'm sure you'd also find examples of people at the market selling me less quality cuts of meat too, perhaps. Probably. I don't know. But in short, I really trust the people that I see every day. Right. I guess I could put it simple like that.
In terms of quality of meat and things, I would say it's just common sense most of the time, really, to be honest. Like,
if it's a weird color.
Yeah, if you're looking at things like fish, yep, it's going to be good every time because they've gone and caught it that morning. It's fish. They don't store it. Once again, you can
freeze it.
Use your eyes. You can tell if something's not right. You go to a place, there's no one sitting there. Blah blah blah. There's all these factors. It's chicken. It's a hot day. They've got no place to refrigerate it. Yeah, then maybe don't go there. It's common sense most of the time, but the majority of the time, definitely you can trust it. Definitely trust it.
So, Rob, you brought up a couple of things. Throw away food and need less clothes. Okay, both good questions. So first, throw away food like we do in America or we do, in another country. There's a fair amount, I guess, but I would say it's less, way less. And when people throw stuff out, especially food, they'll put it in a compost thing, feed it to dogs. There's like a compost pile here in my neighborhood, that kind of thing. So that goes a long ways. I don't think it's even close to what it is in America. I don't think so. Also, I mean, look at the garbages at McDonald's. You know, how much of that's just paper that was used one moment for 10 seconds here to there. You know, you got this in a box, in a napkin, in a box, in a paper, in a box, you know, in a box, in a bag. Right. But here it's straight bowl, give you all the food, go. There's no waste. There is absolutely zero garbage. That's the thing. In terms of, again, paper and packaging and stuff like that. You can do the opposite, of course. You could buy fried chicken, and obviously you're going to get all the garbagey stuff. But in terms of raw food waste, I would say it's way less.
It's a sin to waste here, really.
Yeah.
As well, it's considered. We've got our social, expectations and etiquette, and one of theirs is obviously probably related to the fact that they've been through so much turmoil in Vietnam that they haven't had the luxury of being able to throw anything away.
Right.
So it teaches you a lot just living here, because in certain situations, if you don't finish your plate, you will get a few odd looks. So basically get enough food and finish it. So there's not a lot of, because people don't like wasting as well.
Right. Oh no.
Common sense. Why kill something, cook it, or whatever it is you're eating, and then just eat a small portion and throw it away like it's nothing.
Right.
When there's a large percentage of people that don't have that luxury. I mean, it's sort of stupid. So I've learned a lot in that aspect.
Yeah, it'd be more
in terms of minimalist as well. Don't buy more than you need. Just for the sake of it.
Right.
It's pointless.
Oh yeah.
It's purely a waste. Purely a waste.
You're right. People, it is a stigma to waste stuff here. Like a big stigma.
Which is a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because, just don't waste. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
When there's someone out there who would, give their left arm for that last scrap, and you're just throwing away like it's nothing. It's disrespectful, and it's just stupid, really. So,
right.
And I'm comparing that to places like Australia and America, where these high quality meals, half steak and something, and I'm a little bit full, chuck it. Fuck, it's insanity, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man, I know. Like, there was a party I got invited to yesterday. It was $100 grand, 110, 120 grand just to walk in for the entrance ticket. And then you have to buy expensive beers while there. If I would go to my local neighborhood here and say, yeah, I went there and paid the 120 entrance ticket, they would be like, oh, you idiot. Why would you waste all that money? How good was it? Why don't you just come here? You could have, instead of buying 3 beers for 200 grand, you could have come here and had a case and a half of beer. And you're an idiot. They wouldn't look at me like you're a rich guy and a positive. They'd be like, you're wasting money. Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
So now, one other thing about the food deal, I did go to the beach one time, and there was a big table of 8 people, and they eventually they got up and left. So far, so good. But there was a handful of dishes that were barely touched, meaning like pork ribs or something along those lines. Great. So as the dude was cleaning up the pork ribs, meaning the waiter guy, I went up to him and I was just like, hey, man, they paid for, it was all in Vietnamese, obviously, but I'm like, they paid for this. And one way or another, since they paid for it, can I just eat it? Let's not waste it. And he's like, no, Shay now lie. Yeah, Shay now lie.
Gonna cook it again.
Yeah, they're gonna recook it. So then, they're gonna take it all back. No, they're not just gonna plunk. No, they're going to actually cook it again, which technically speaking would keep it clean. And actually speaking is probably a good idea. It's just fine. It's not like it's tainted or anything really wrong with it.
I'm not going to get many people comfortable with that, but yeah.
Well, I'm just saying
it's a matter of mindset, I suppose. It's a matter of mindset.
Right. Now, in contrast, in America, if you're at a buffet and some guy sneezes over the buffet, throw away the entire buffet. Throw it all away. Yeah, because liability. We don't want sickness, coming in here at such and such and such and such thing. Right. You can never recook food. Like at a wedding, whatever food's not eaten on the buffet, all thrown away. But in Vietnam, less so. I guess I'll put it that way. They will recook what they can, reuse what they can. If they're running a restaurant of some kind and they have a bunch of fixins and side items as a caterer, yep, they're going to package them up, bring them back to their restaurant and serve them either that night or the next day. Yep. So I would say due to the liability, insurance, sickness related thing, American people who I can speak for throw away a lot more than they do in Vietnam. So I don't want to get into it. Like, is it a good idea? Isn't it? I don't care. Is insurance a good idea, bad idea? I don't care. Food liability, good or bad? I don't really care. all I can say is this is how they're different. They're less freak show about it here, about food liability, than they are in America.
Right.
So I guess they're common sense. Like, why would I throw it away? You kind of see what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, okay, Rusty, bringing up a good question. I've heard of restaurants being closed for reserving food here in America. Could be, the health violations and so forth. They're really, they're really strict on that. And again, I don't have an opinion if they should be good or bad or whatever. That's for them to choose. But yeah, that's a thing. Now, by the way, I did look up the actual statistics. And if I were to do this in pounds, the average American person throws away about 3 pounds worth of trash per day. 3 pounds by the time you add it all up. And that's construction waste, yard waste, plastic, whatever. Add it all together. Vietnam is 0.8 pounds. So it's about 1/4 of the garbage that American people have. I thought the distance would be greater, but that's the number. So cool. Yeah. So again, save the earth, restaurant, kind of stuff. No, actually, why choose Vietnam? Since we're talking food, I would say that you get a lot less, what do you call it, cream-based foods here in Vietnam. Like you wouldn't have, like if I go back to my hometown, you're going to have like your apple pie with like the glazed sauce. You're going to have your fettuccine Alfredo. You're going to have creamy sauces here and there. Ranch dressing, you'll find that shit everywhere. You'll find ranch pizzas, dripping with cheese, dripping with sauce, dripping with oil, dripping with everything. So you get cream-based ingredients and cream-based sauce. If you have French fries, what are the odds that you can get it with queso on it? Right. I would say that oily creaminess is less over here to having a
almost non-existent.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, pretty much
Basically
non-existent.
non-existent. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just don't say it. Which isn't a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And even fried foods, they exist, of course. Fried chicken in particular. But it's less common. You'll run across people out here who it's been months and they haven't had any fried food as we would normally define it, like with the breading on the outside, deep fried or whatever. Yeah, in months they've never had a single piece of anything.
Right.
You'll also run across folks here who haven't, in a couple of months, haven't had a single donut, haven't had a single slice of cake. Nope, just hasn't come up. Haven't had an English muffin. Not at all. It's been straight up like soup or whatever the hell, your bun bo or your classic stuff, right? So in your own case, is that something that you prefer? You talked about having the food as a real positive angle.
Yeah, from a pleasure perspective.
Yeah, it's super good. I forgot to say that. Yeah,
nutritionally, you've got everything you need. Obviously, obviously in our countries, maybe they demonize carbohydrates and all that crap, and there's all sorts of diets. And I came here not wanting to eat a great deal of rice, obviously, but at the end of the day, like my average meal, whether it be rice, some sort of protein source, like fish, chicken, whatever, vegetables. You've got everything you need right there. There's no added crap really that you don't need. There's no cream sauces. There's no bread on the side. There's no nothing. And I wouldn't say I'm going without by any means. I feel better for it in terms of pure, we eat these heavy, dense meals back home that we don't need, that are super high in calories that have absolutely no nutritional value. And then we go, oh, fuck, I got fat. What happened? It's a bit of a no-brainer. Like, come on, just come here. And I personally, I've lost. Oh God, and not by choosing to. I've lost probably 15 kilos since being in Vietnam. And I eat like a pig, like a machine, mate. I don't think twice about it. Just purely because you are cutting out those unnecessary things. And I don't know about you. Would you say you go without? Of course, I miss things from time to time that are back home, but majority of the time we just don't need them, and they make you feel like crap. And so those things they're just not existent here.
Yeah. I would say, and
you're eating a lot more naturally, is what I'm saying. Right. Rice, you got your grain there, your protein source, and then vegetables. I mean, it's a lot more natural, and that's your stock standard meal.
Right.
And there's other options available. If you do want bread, yes, there is bread dishes, but once again, they're accompanied by veggies, a soup, and a protein source. You're getting every macro that you need at a single meal.
Yeah.
Always here, basically. It's very rare that you're not. So yeah.
So yeah, you can eat without too much guilt. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Back home, if you're trying to lose weight, you can't be eating, carbohydrates. You've got to be avoiding this, that, whatever else. But here, just do your thing, and you can. It's going to fall off you. I mean, it's that hot as well. I mean,
well, yeah. And the thing is, too, I mean, Vietnam is less than 5% overweight. Versus America, bless them. It's I think like over 60% overweight. And
a lot of them, they don't even take it into account. It's not even a thought when we're thinking about it when we wake up. We're going out. I can't be eating this. I'm on this diet, whatever. They don't even think about it. They just eat whatever the fuck they want, really.
Oh, Vietnamese people, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're eating as much of it as they can. Really.
You don't even think about getting fat. No.
It's hard to. If you can get fat here, then you deserve an award because it's super, super hard. if you're living their
Vietnamese lifestyle. Right.
And having said that, a lot of places, they are adapting. They have discovered Western food, and they really, really do enjoy it, which is a shame because it's, what they're doing already is, and we have a lot of great foods back home, but I don't know. I think there's nothing wrong with what they're doing already.
Right. Well, my wife trying to gain weight, for example, we went to Sausage Fest, and she's like, I'll take 3 packages. 2 of them were dead that day. Yeah. But yeah, you do what you can.
Yeah.
In that regard. But yeah, I remember that being an interesting contrast when I'm here, like as an example, 3 months in Vietnam, eating Vietnamese food every day, saving my money, and because $100,000 a day is enough, which is $4.50, is enough for me to live on for a day. Pretty easy. I mean, shit. That's if I'm drinking what I want, eating what I want, having 6 beers, blah, blah, blah. But I go back to America, and first stop after the airport, stand by, Rob. So you mentioned earlier that fitness was a rising thing in Vietnam. I hate to say it. I could do with losing 100 pounds. Beyond the better food, what other options do they have to get healthy, like trainers or fitness coaches? Actually, let's go there, Rob. Let's go there. Yeah. Excellent question. First of all, on the trend thing, is that true?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Their gym, compared to even just the 2 years ago that I moved here, there was maybe 1 or 2 good local gyms here. Now there's several that are on the same standard that was the one that I work in back home.
Think like Planet Fitness.
Yeah. But without the bullshit. Super professional, clean, fully equipped, got trainers in there who are knowledgeable. But I wouldn't even say you need to go that far. Like you can obviously, if you want to, but if you just came and lived here without putting a second thought to it, that weight's probably going to come off you.
Oh,
it really will.
Almost. I've never heard of someone coming here to Vietnam and gaining weight.
Right.
I've never heard of that ever.
Get out.
It could happen, I guess, but you'd
have to literally
try.
Be not moving, and you'd have to just purely be eating Western food wherever you could find it.
Living in the bubble.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I guess
exactly.
If you live
going against the whole point of coming here, I suppose. But if you came here, you got moving, and you just ate at a local level, I mean...
And did nothing else?
Good luck.
Yeah, you did that and nothing else? Yeah, that'll... you'll have probably 30 pounds right there without even trying. With doing nothing.
In terms of gym memberships, I would say the cost of living here compared to Australia is probably a factor of 4 to 6. So obviously, and salary-wise too. So a gym membership that I just got at probably the best local gym there is by far. Like it's just the most well equipped. Cost me for the year just over $100. Now that's not cheap over here by any means. That's probably a more expensive one. You can definitely find
$100 for a year.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't.
It's healthy, but that's a fair price.
Yeah, that's probably expensive by local standard. Just over $100 American, that is. But once again, I don't put a price on that kind of thing. You just pay for it, and
it's got to be done.
You're going to get your money's worth out of it anyway. But I mean, at a local level for local people, yeah, that is probably a bit of a high price because if that's $100, factor that by 4 to 6, it's $400 to $600 or whatever it may be. So it's similar in terms of relation to income. Because that is probably what we pay about back home, $400 to $600 for a year or whatever it may be. So you'd factor it back into their salaries, then it's pretty similar if you want to go to a decent place.
Right.
But it's worth every cent.
Oh, yeah. And actually, that's now that I'm thinking about it, that's a good price. My local gym here, it's $20,000 a trip, or it might be $10,000. I forget.
$1.50.
Yeah, so it's $50 each time you go. Meh. But I suppose if you go there 20 days, it's actually cheaper, to do what you're doing,
Right.
Regardless, it's not bad, but it's worth the investment. And actually, I was going to say, there, Rob, in particular, it is a great idea to put fitness and getting healthy high on your list when you come here to Vietnam. What I mean is, this trip will change your life in that regard. Okay, and I don't want to sound like Richard Simmons and overpromise stuff here and rah rah, you can do it, yeah. But seriously, rah rah rah, you can do it. Yeah, it really will change your life. And I say this from direct firsthand examples of person after person after person. If I understood things right, my buddy Pita, my buddy Pita, he was way up there, 50 to 100 pounds, something like that. But he was a strongman competitor, and whatnot. But still, yes. The other big thing is walking and bicycling. Okay.
Yeah, you'll do it by accident.
Yeah, you do it by accident. Yeah.
Like whether it's nutritionally or in terms of physical exercise, the two factors when you're talking about losing weight, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Nutritionally, you're going to do it by accident if you just do it at a local level. In terms of being physically active, just be fucking physically active. Simple as
just
that.
Walk where you got to walk. Yeah.
Get around by foot. Take a bike, whatever it may be. It's not rocket science, and then the rest will take care of itself.
Right, because I only travel by bicycle, and as a result, a lot of days I'm on my bicycle for an hour a day. I don't notice it because it's 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, or 20 minutes there. But yeah, an hour a day, and that adds up. I went out paddleboarding yesterday, and whoosh, whoosh, yep, I'm out there paddling probably 4 or 5 hours. It just happened by itself. So I can say when my family came to visit me, meaning my American family came to visit, back in March. Yeah, in America, because of the winter, you wouldn't go for a walk for an hour.
Incredibly sedentary when you think about it.
Incredibly sedentary, yeah.
Bed to fridge to car to office to car, like that.
To couch
you
to
can't
home.
fuck up a kilometer, really.
Right. So it was funny for me. Not only are they heavier than the average Vietnamese person. But also when I would bring up ideas like, oh, yeah, it's just right down there. It's like, I don't know. And they're like, how far is it? If it's more than a kilometer, I'm not going. I'm like, what? I don't know. It's like a 15-minute walk or some damn thing. I don't know. So what if it's 20? I don't know. Maybe it's 2 kilometers. No, that's too far. That's not going to happen. I'm going to get sweaty. Plus, it's just too far. I'm going to be exhausted by the time I even get there. I'm like, we are definitely coming from different worlds,
Which is fine in my opinion. If people don't want to do that kind of thing, that's fine. But they can't turn and say to you after that, I want to lose weight. You know what I mean? You're shooting yourself on the foot, really. I mean, because you've got the opportunity right there without even thinking, just by being active and having a bit of fun and going for a walk. And if they're fine with doing that, it's cool. But I just think it's hard next time they say to you, how can I drop the weight? It's like, you just had ample opportunities right in front of you, which you turned down. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And they're free.
Right.
And they're easy and they're enjoyable and they're addictive and you feel good after them. So you really can't be scratching your head at why, nothing's changing, really.
That's true. Now, I did want to mention I saw on a few of the Facebook forums, Vietnamese people who are like, hey, I like going to the gym, but I just want a workout partner. I want to go with somebody, which makes a ton of sense. So even if you don't have a fitness coach, you can find somebody to go with for sure.
Right.
For sure.
There's several factors. They want a foreign friend. They want a buddy. They want to learn English while they're in the gym with you. And they usually become a good mate.
Yep. And they love working
out. And they make
it
very clear, I don't want anything out of this. I just want a buddy to go to the gym with someone who's in a similar situation.
Yep. Want to help. It'd make them really proud.
Yeah.
Them and a guy like myself. If I had a nice person come from United States or Australia that wants to lose weight and wants to get in shape, I would. How can I help? Yeah. Something along those lines. So yeah, I think you'll be real pleased, to be able to find that. So yeah, it's really easy to be sedentary in the States, especially in the winter. But it's really easy to be active out here all times of the year. Again, a very, very major thing. But again, I was going to do that juxtaposition, being in Vietnam for several months, then going back to America. Well, I was saving money, having my Vietnamese food and so forth. But then, went to a place. First of all, they had a Bloody Mary bar, which is kind of cool. But it was like $8 a Bloody Mary. I'm like, oh, 2-day budget of food.
What was this, sorry?
In America.
Right.
So I went from Vietnam to America. So yeah, I blasted.
$8 is cheap too over there.
Like, yeah, well, for a bloody, my friend's like, but it's good, man. You gotta try. And I'm like, whoa, this is a 2-day budget. I mean, this would be the equivalent of $100 ordeal for a lot of y'all.
Right.
On top of that, they had a salad bar, but the salad bar was like $9 all you can eat salad. And I'm like, ouch! Again, 2 days budget. But it was just like, you get a couple flakes of lettuce, and then it's like, add the meat, then add the peanuts, then add the cottage cheese, then add the cheese, then I cover it all in ranch. Then I'm like, it's a weird salad. I mean, that's a normal American salad, but I'm just like, I haven't seen that shit. I forgot that that's what salads look like. Hamburger. Whereas in Vietnam, you'll have like your mixed veggie, cooked vegetables together with onions and garlic and lemongrass and stuff like that.
The true meaning of what the word is meant to represent: fresh ingredients, health benefits. It's sort of, don't get me wrong, I do like an American salad here and there.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it's defeating the purpose, really.
Right.
It's like frying broccoli. It's like, why would you do it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Rob, you're talking about, okay, let's go here. Good question there, Rob. If someone was going to visit for a month, what would you recommend they do and see, and where to fly into? Well, actually, Sam, it's a good question for you.
Yeah, so I would say, if you've only got a month, I would say fly. Yeah, exactly. Only being the key word there. It's such a big country, deceivingly big, obviously narrow, incredibly long. Flying to one of the two major airports, which is going to be Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi, south or north. And I would only do half of the country in that month. So I would finish in Da Nang or whatever, and we'll go back up. I would break it down into two halves. I wouldn't try and do the whole country in a month. I said this before in another video of Brad's. I had friends who did the whole country in 12 days. So landed in Ho Chi Minh, met them there, and I got 3 days in, and I said, I can't do this with you guys anymore, because you're literally going from bus to bus, train to train, get drunk, wake up hungover, you're on the move all the time. And it wasn't really a true cultural experience or a good experience, or they didn't really get a feel for the country by any means. Sure, they can say they've been to each place, but in your case, if you've got a month, spend some time in a single place, like get grounded somewhere and explore it properly. Don't just look up these places on TripAdvisor and then go to the next place and do that and this. Just chill out, move slowly, go to places that are not famous, which is the best thing. Some of my favorite places in this country. Shit, I say the places to locals and they don't know the place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So really, really off the map kind of places. So I'd say flying to Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh, obviously, and then just make your way north or south for a month by any means that you wanted to. And then if you like a place more than another place, stay there for a bit longer, chill out, explore it. If you're not feeling the vibe of one place, move on to the next place. Pretty straightforward. Just take your time and discover it properly. Meet people, get involved in the culture. Every single city is going to be like a different country, and I don't think I exaggerate this at all. Like, I think you can go 3 hours north or south. The dialect's quite different. The food's different. The way people behave is different. What you see is different. So you're really, you're traveling quite a short distance, but everything changes. Everything changes. So yeah, that's another good reason. Just take your time and enjoy each place, and then you figure out what you like, what you don't like. Obviously, I live in one of the places that's appealing to me. It's quieter. The food's great. Beautiful scenery. It's more chilled.
You're in Hawaii City, to be clear.
Yeah. And I found that out by traveling the style that I'm talking about now. I came across this place by accident my first time that I traveled here, and thank God that I did, because otherwise I would have skipped it. It's not very well known. It's slowly becoming more well known, but it's still not on the map compared to other cities, because people are traveling fast. They cap it to big cities, bang, 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 call them out of here in 12 days. I couldn't really, you can say you've been to the country, but you haven't really experienced it or figured out what you like, what you don't like, or got down at a local level, which is the point of coming here. I mean, if you want to come here and stay in a resort for 2 weeks and then go home, if that's your motive, sweet, but you're not going to experience the country at all, you know? You're not going to experience anything really. I mean, it's common sense, once again, like just...
When you say the people are friendly, you meant to say the staff sitting there paid to be friendly are friendly. Right.
in terms of how to travel, go by all means. Once again, the only way you can figure out the places you like and the way you like traveling is to do each one, and then you figure out. Some people hate motorbikes. Sweet, fair enough. But you've got to jump on one first to know whether you like it or not. Buses, trains. Yeah, I love all of them. I hate buses. Okay, cool. Avoid them. I go by bike or train or by car. So I've done every mode of transport there is to know which one I like and don't like to see the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all have their pros and cons. You know, cars are more comfortable. Motorbikes give you more freedom to go wherever you want at any time. You know, and you just figure out which suits you. All right, safety and comfort's a factor for me. Cool, I'm going to go by night train. You know, whatever. You just got to go through each one to figure out which is the. You know, there's no right or wrong way of doing it really. But yeah, I definitely recommend motorbike.
Oh yeah,
because it just gives you the most freedom. It gives you the most freedom to go wherever you want. You know.
Right, and also, I guess I would echo figure on like a week per city. Okay, so in the case of being there for 1 month, figure on 4 cities. Okay, don't do more than that. Do not do more than that. If you just start there with that in mind, you're doing good. And second of all, yes, I did make a video on YouTube. The top 10 words you need to party with Vietnamese people. And these are like not just to party and drink, but words like hello, thank you, my name is. If you got that, you're doing great. And then if you know the other ones like eat, drink, come on in, cheers, have fun. Yeah, I'm happy here. I like Vietnam. Yeah, if you just know that top 10 list that I put on YouTube, if you know that only and nothing else, you can have a fucking lot of fun here in any country or in any city, I meant to say, any part of the country, anywhere. You can go out to a beach village if you know these 10 words, right, and you're going to have a blast. Right. Yeah. If you know absolutely no Vietnamese, it's going to be hard. Sure, you can pantomime your way around, make do, but
it's just not as fun. Really.
It's not as fun.
You can't communicate. It's awkward. You feel uncomfortable, and then you sort of look at that experience as, oh, that wasn't fun, or that wasn't special, or crazy, or whatever. But as soon as you get a few words in your pocket, you know, you can communicate at a very basic level. It's going to be really fun. People get around you, and you're going to probably learn a handful more on the spot.
Right.
You know.
Right on. So yeah, learn a little Vietnamese. Then it doesn't matter what city you're in. Doesn't matter TripAdvisor reviews because none of the people you meet are on TripAdvisor. And this whole wave over thing, you know, like one reason I love Vietnam in particular is they wave you over. So on any night of the week, I could just walk in my neighborhood and within no time, come on. I mean, we were on our damn paddle boards yesterday on the river. 8 people invited us over. Hey, come on over. I just want to talk to you. Yeah. What's your name? Hello. What's your name? Thank you. Cheers. Yep. Drink. Eat. Yep. And it was a blast. And that's how it is out here. And I don't think that can be faked. And you certainly wouldn't get that in a resort or in a guided trip of some kind, you know, generally speaking. So, yeah, learn the language, man. I just keep pushing it. And, yeah, slow down, like you said. And, yeah.
Get off the beaten track. Get in uncomfortable situations, get out of your comfort zone, get in strange places purposely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, actually, if you're like, because of Highway 1 and the way the bus structure works, as long as you're close to Highway 1, you could pretty much stand on Highway 1 at the side of the road and hold your hand up. A, hitchhike. B, buses will just come by with like Hue or Hanoi or Saigon written on it. And if you just wave them down, they'll stop for you. It's not very complicated. So you could effectively hop on and off no matter where you want to go pretty easily. You don't even have to horse around with bus tickets or tour companies and bus stations. Nah. So you get this kind of freedom to mosey around, but go to a new small town, hardly on the map, and just get off and just start walking.
Right.
Just start walking and just blip, 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 blip. Oh, you're going to stumble into a lake. Oh, they got cool shit out here. Cool stuff to buy. Get a hair massage. And then, oh, this restaurant looks cool. How about this coffee shop? And just stuff happens when you do that. Just go for a random walkabout, so that'd be something I would really push for.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a very, very easy country to just do walkabouts in. Very easy. They're very open to that. And that's, in my opinion, the best way to do it if you got a choice. I haven't really found any boring cities. Tiny village of a couple hundred people, I can have a blast there for sure.
And they're just the best people. Wherever you go, they're just the best people. I've been in situations, the first time I travelled here, obviously, I went from Hanoi up to Sapa and along the Chinese border and whatnot by bike, and there was a few situations where I needed help, man. And I didn't speak Vietnamese at the time, by the way. But they just took me in they will not turn to, a blind idea. Like, shit, there's a storm coming. This guy doesn't know where he's going, blah, blah. They're on it. They're just willing to help you. They're just the best people. So, and that goes for, every place I've ever been. They're out to help you, and their intentions are good always.
Right.
It's in their interest just to genuinely help you with nothing wanted in return.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They just got that mindset, which is incredible. Hey, this guy's in our country, and they do it for each other as well. But hey, this guy's in our country. He's struggling, and he doesn't know what he's going or what he's doing. Let's help him out. So,
right on.
It's another good reason not to really have that fear of going about it like that, traveling like that, because if you do get stuck, it'll work out. There's a few times where I thought, shit, I'm going to die. It worked out, You're stuck in the middle of nowhere with a massive thunderstorm. Yep, someone takes you in. Someone took me in. And this is in the middle of nowhere, rice fields, I'm off track on the navigation system, way off. And, just got taken care of. They just looked after me.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I ran out of gas on my way out to the beach. And I was like, oh, man, I don't want to push this bastard another 5K. It's hot, for example, and whatever. But I got a helmet. How long do you think it took for someone to pick me up and then drive me to the next gas station? Okay? Don't say 1 minute. Nope. Yeah, once I was sitting there wondering, should I send some text? Should I call a Grab? Oh, okay. Well, 6 seconds later, I'm in the back of a bike. Oh, yeah. That's how they roll out here. Sweet. Yes, you can get around. I mean, I literally feel like I could hitchhike the entire country almost as fast as me driving the whole country personally. They're just on it. Or folks will tell you, hey, I'll bring you 30K. How about that? No, and then stand there with a helmet. Yep. A couple of friends that I went paddling with yesterday, 2 days ago, they met some nice people in a coffee shop who invited them out to the beach village that they live in, to go and hang out for the weekend. Basically hang out for the weekend. And they were like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, out boating, out, here and there. And either way, they were like, this is just amazing. All we did was just show up. And within the first 2 hours, someone, family wants to take us in, invite us out, and make us part of the family and be friends for life. Yep. That's totally reasonable in Vietnam. Totally. If you're open to it. In their case, they had a 4-day, 5-day trip here to Hue City, so this is reasonable. If they're here for only 1 day or 2 days and someone randomly invited them out to a village, they'd say, no, we have our itinerary we got to bang out. Right.
Which is another good reason to,
Right. Okay, so another, let's shift the topics a little bit. Another really good thing about living in Vietnam in particular. There's a lot of countries that fit like the third world country, kind of list, meaning like it's cheaper, it has a simpler life, easy to live there, stuff like that. There's a lot of them. For example, Ukraine has come up a lot, the Philippines, Thailand, certainly Vietnam. Believe it or not, a lot of folks move to Cambodia. It's a great place to be as well. It's a rare day someone chooses Laos, but you get that every now and then too. But you know, I meet a fair number of folks that want to live in New Zealand, you know, and or for that matter, Australia. Cool, 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 cool. But Vietnam has a few advantages over a lot of these other countries. Okay. And there's a reason why, you know, in my case, choosing Vietnam, I did come here the first time, sort of accident, but it was a very conscious decision for a few main reasons. One, when you're in Vietnam, access to these other countries is easy, right? Like I can round trip it to Bangkok, Thailand for 120 bucks. Boom, they're back, bang, bang. A buddy of mine actually got round trip weekend last minute special from Da Nang, Vietnam to Hong Kong and back. Oh, and it was something ridiculous, like $24 round trip. Yeah. I mean, just stupid. You know, where he's just like
very, very strategically located.
Yeah.
So if you are getting sick of it, you need a break. Jump on a plane. What you said before was what back home. It's like it's a once a year trip. So you're in Australia, you go to Thailand once a year for your 2 weeks holiday. When you live here, it just can be a regular thing. It's like going to the next city for a few nights. You just jump on the plane and go to the next country for a few nights. Mm-hmm. It can be as simple and straightforward and cheap as that as well. So it's cheap, it's fast, you know. It takes out all these big factors that stop us from doing it back home.
Oh,
we don't have the time, we don't have the money. Over here, you've got the time, and obviously it's much cheaper. So it's much easier to see other countries surrounding Vietnam when you are here as well.
Mm-hmm. Like, and to be fair, to put it in American perspective, where I used to live in Minnesota to, let's say, Chicago, which isn't arguably that far, certainly not on the map. It looks like that far. It's like 1/20th of the width of the United States. Yeah, well, shit, that's going to be like best case scenario, a 6-hour ordeal one way. Best case, probably 8. Fastest means possible. And it'll be $100. Fastest means, hey, Joe Vietnam, all hail Vietnam, amen. Yeah. What are the Ryanairs of Asia?
Is that the budget? Is that the budget airline? Is Ryanair yours?
Yeah, Ryanair would be the.
In Vietnam, it is Vietjet Air, and they are super, super budget.
On the ball.
They make our budget airlines look stupid. They are operating off skint. I mean, yes, they might have a 30% cancellation or late, whatever, if you can get past that. There might be a few delays here and there, and there's no bells or whistles that come with it. But if you're just looking to get from A to B, I mean, these guys are scraping a few cents off the top. A good example is they constantly have, from where we live, from Hue or Da Nang, going to North Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh, 1.5 hour flight, and then in American, $4.50. You think, how can they operate as a company?
$4.50.
Yeah, even if the plane is full, you know, you just think, how can they even operate? It's just insane.
It's insane. Yeah.
But you don't question those things. You just pay for it and you get on the flight. You don't need to ask questions how they're staying afloat. Just take advantage of it, really. It's ridiculously cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's seasonally related too, you know?
Yep.
As you would expect. Like Tet Holiday, for example, shitloads of people want to go from Saigon to Hue City. A shitload. So let's say one ticket from the south going northward can be like $230. But in the meantime, they're sending back empty planes, you know? So yeah, I literally got a flight for, like $9, you know, from Hue City down to Saigon. So that's traveling half the country.
And did you say Vietnam Airlines here?
Yeah.
Yep. So Vietnam Airlines is probably they are top notch. They are high quality, and you're probably going to pay a factor of 4 to 1 for a Vietjet to Vietnam Airlines. If you can find a Vietnam Airlines ticket that's double the price of Vietjet Air, you've done very well. Because Vietnam Airlines is much more, you know, spacious, it's high quality, whatever.
And they're international, mind you. Right, Vietnam Airlines will go to Korea, let's say, and they'll go to Thailand and stuff.
But to compare, for example, flying domestically with Vietjet or Vietnam Airlines.
Oh, yeah, it's almost always better.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but obviously check them out for yourself. But those are going to be your two main ones.
Yep.
Also, since you talked about flights, you're better off not going through things like Hipmunk or whatever.
These
Skyscanner.
Third-party websites. Go direct
to the website.
Because they've got the policies. You avoid all the bullshit if something happens, obviously. And, you know, it's not any extra.
Right.
Really.
So what you can do, Rob, non-Vietnam Airlines, if you want to go to other countries.
So they got Jetstar, which is that's the budget one that's coming out, or AirAsia.
Oh yeah.
AirAsia is the biggest one, and they I've been with them heaps of times, and can't say a bad thing about it. You get what you pay for. Gets from A to B. It's clean. Then not late. Whatever. I don't need much more than that.
Right. And I don't have a ton of ridiculous loyalties to folks, but when you are able to use things like Skyscanner and third-party websites to at least give you an idea of what kind of flights are here to there. But again, in my own experience, I go directly to the website itself, and I've never found it where another third-party place was cheaper than me going to Vietjet. I think it's vietjetair.com. Vietjetair.com directly. Yep. Payments already saved. All right, terrific. Done. So yeah, there's some, again, big advantages like that, but just look around best you can. Again, start with the third party stuff to give you an overview, then zoom in on whichever company that you'd like. But yeah, you'll be real pleased. You can price it out for yourself right now. How much does it cost to go from, I don't know, like Saigon to goddamn Philippines for that matter? Last I checked, it was about $250 round trip. Okay. Well, America to the Philippines is, you're talking about a 36-hour ordeal, my friend, and you're probably talking $1,000. Right. But here I could reasonably go for, a week to the Philippines and justify it. Leave that morning, be there in time for lunch, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a factor. That's a big factor. So the geography of Vietnam is a really damn good thing. Now, Quentin, you can get your Vietnamese tour guide to get you the cheapest tickets. Oh yeah, that's the spirit. I guess so. Make sure he's the right guide. But right, there's a few ways of going about it. That's for damn sure. Would you like a little coffee, buddy? Anyway, yeah, there we go. Score a little coffee and beer combo. Either way, other factors. Okay, the geography of it all out here is a big one. Now, the beach factor. Very cheap to travel from Vietnam around the world, Southeast Asia. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Vietnamese tour guide girlfriends. Yeah. Okay. There you go, Quentin. Yeah. Oh, so be it. Again, have the right guide. I guess she'll be on your team, so that goes along with this. Now, being a beach and tropical country, that's the thing. Is it possible that life in the coldest city on earth in like northern Russia is cheaper than life here? Probably, but that does not interest me. Shit. I would much rather be on a beach in a tropical area where everything is perfect. I'll take the malaria and dengue fever, but whatever.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, it's a trade-off. Yeah. But the weather, temperature, and this and that is a major factor. Could this be duplicated in, let's say, South America or southern Mexico? Yep, sure can. In fact, this is about very comparable with Acapulco, Mexico. Yeah, to give you an idea. Or Central America, Panama, Cuba, Dominican Republic. Yeah. If you got a choice, you might as well live somewhere awesome with palm trees and banana trees and coconut trees. So I can put it real simple. Do they got coconuts, bananas, tropical fruit fresh off the vine? It's probably a good choice. They don't? Question your motive. So some people go to Eastern Europe because for Europeans, that can be a cheap way of living. For example, cheaper beer and cheaper accommodations and that kind of thing. Hey, and there's some positive things about it. I haven't really been there personally, so I can't speak too much about it. But main things I can tell you, it's not cheaper. It's not cheaper. There's no way. Latvia is the cheapest beer in Europe, according to statistics. But that's $1.20 a beer. Or I'm sorry, €1.20 a beer. And for Europeans, that's cheap. But for Hue City, that would be the equivalent of 40 grand.
Which is somewhere in the tourist area.
Right. Yeah. Which would be the most expensive beer that I can find.
Right.
So the most expensive beer in Vietnam is cheaper than the cheapest beer in all of Eastern Europe. To give you an idea, that's one measurement, not all of them, but it's a factor. It's cheaper here than those other countries for sure.
And the weather's better.
Depends on what you're into. Right. And yes, are there KFC in Vietnam? Yes. In fact, there's KFC, and then there's KFC derivatives, which would be like derivatives. What would be the word?
Lotteria, and there's
Lotteria, which is basically exactly the same.
They are just the same with different packaging, really.
Yep.
Close enough. A few different products, whatever.
Right.
Yep.
Lotteria, and then there's a few others. But
Jollibees, whatever it's called. They've all got fried chicken and chips. Simple as that.
Yeah, fried chicken is one of the things that took off in Vietnam because they're kind of a fried chicken-y, kind of loving people. It is worth pointing out that McDonald's failed miserably here in Vietnam for a few reasons. Reason number one, in America, which has more options than KFC, and in most cases better. Yeah, so Quentin, if you could, if you could write a few options, Quentin, that'd be great, buddy. Save me some time. But anyway, McDonald's failed because in America, it's really fast and convenient. Drive-through. In America, it's cheaper than a sit-down restaurant. Cool. And in America, it's tastier than a lot of other food options, for example, candy bars at a gas station. Due to geography, time, space, people being in cars, and comparisons to other food options, McDonald's can win. Now, that's not true in Vietnam. What I mean is to park your motorbike and then get in an elevator, go upstairs, and then walk into a McDonald's, and then order your food, wait for your food, pay for your food, and then go back down takes way longer than just getting it right off the street. The people in the street will win every time. So it's way longer, like maybe 10 times longer, 5 to 10, 20 times longer to get your food from McDonald's than it would right off the street. And it's going to be about 5 to 10 times more expensive than the food they have right in the street. And it's going to taste less good than the food right on the street. So again, in America, McDonald's works. It works great because of who you're competing with in terms of time, money, and taste. But in Vietnam, you lose on all three of those measurements. So people are not going to drop 5 times as much money for something that takes 5 times as long that tastes half as good on a daily basis. You're just not going to do that. But in America, there's a lot of people that go every day. So that it's a good thing. McDonald's, suck it. You're in the wrong country, bro.
When they had McDonald's in Hanoi, I read an interesting article where they went around and they interviewed just local people in Hanoi. What do you think about McDonald's being here? It was really good getting their opinions, and they interviewed one 90-year-old fella about it, and he's just basically said, "I don't fucking get it.
I don't get it. I don't get McDonald's."
He can't really, get his head around the concept of the place. Just touching on everything that you just said. It's just not fresh. It costs a shitload of money. It's super commercial. It's busy in there. Just the list goes on of reasons not to go there, but it's just packed with, obviously you still don't
people doing selfies.
Yeah, what's, can't really get it.
Okay, great. Lotteria is the biggest one, and now Jollibee is both cheaper and tastier. Jollibee is pretty good. Yep. Language accent unique from Hanoi and Saigon. Yes, and I made a video about it, as a matter of fact. And if you just search Hue accent in Vietnam, you'll find it. And yes, on my channel, obviously. But yes, basically, it's not that bad. There's maybe about 5 main words you got to know that are different. But it's fine. Hue is in general smoothed out a little bit more, so it'd be the equivalent of an Alabama accent in the United States versus New York or something like that. But it's not that different. I did want to mention, when I went to Hanoi, I had no problems. Nobody misunderstood me because of my Hue accent. And similar in Vinh, or Vinh Halong. So Saigon, I have no problem. So in my own case, I can understand people perfectly fine, and they can understand me perfectly fine.
No, it doesn't give you any issues whatsoever. They might comment on it.
Right.
Where are you living? In the central? Okay, cool. No worries. Simple as that. Doesn't go much further.
Rachel, my small town, we have 1 Jollibee and 1 Lotteria.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't go to either of them.
Can't be bothered.
Yeah, no need to.
Right.
Already spoke about that. Cheaper, more delicious, fresh food available.
Right.
Why would you? And once in a blue moon, maybe, if I've got a craving. And then after that, it's a long time between drinks again.
Right.
I'm done. Out of my system.
Yeah, I might do it once every 2 months. I might go for a proper hamburger or something like that. Right. But yeah, in general, they're not a fast foodie kind of culture. I did want to mention though that the children are. When I ask young kids, what's your favorite food? Fried chicken, pizza, fried chicken, pizza, yay! Right. But I ask my 50-year-old guys, they're like, yeah, can't be bothered. No, there's no, and fried chicken's okay, but that is, man, that's 90 items down on my list.
Yeah, give me a plate full of seafood and some beer, and that's it.
Right. And pizza, they're like, I could actually probably point out people that have never tried pizza in their life. They've never tried it. They just never had it, and have no interest. Like, that's the thing. I've seen pictures of it. I know what it is, but man,
doesn't really beat what we've got over
Right. Well, I mean, how many old people in America have never tried Massaman Thai curry? I bet there you could point to 10 of them without too much trouble. Oh yeah. Okay, chilling in Vietnam. Are you planning on raising your kids in Vietnam or the USA? I'll grab this one. Definitely Vietnam, for sure, for a lot of main reasons. Reason one, this is my home, period. My wife lives here. I live here. This is home. So that's reason one. So I could start and stop there. Two, the family. Our family is really well connected out here, which is to say, I have to argue with my older relatives, the grandmas, the aunts, the mom and dad, whoever. I have to argue with them to get my own kids back. Really, it's at that level. So the family taking care of the younger kids is insane. It takes a village to raise a child, and here they take that seriously. Mi casa es tu casa. No, they switch it around, and they're like, tu casa es mi casa. Yeah, so mom will just come here and live here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So childcare and rearing and family connections, is way better in Vietnam. The education system, look at test scores. I mean, you can argue left and right if you want, but it's a fact. The education system is, in general, better in Vietnam. The job opportunities, in my opinion, are way better in Vietnam, especially if you're bilingual, which obviously my children will be, just like I am and Sam is. Yeah, boom. If we're bilingual, if we're sitting in America and our child speaks Vietnamese, that's worthless. In fact, they're probably going to ignore Vietnamese altogether because no one gives a shit and there's no economic value. There's no reason to, and hardly anyone else speaks it. In contrast, if we're in Vietnam and they're bilingual, yeah, that's super useful, more useful than a PhD, and you're rich because you speak a native level of English and oh yeah. So it's extremely valuable here, worthless in America. Right. Learning online aspects are definitely here. And the hospitals, in my opinion, the hospital care is more accessible here. There's a lot of cases where I have a minor injury and I can't go to a hospital in America because it's going to be $700 for a doctor to go in. You're sick. Walk out, $700. Yeah, here in Vietnam, oh, you're sick. Walk out, nothing, or $2. Right. So the hospitals are better, schools are better, environment's better. It's more diverse here. There's more people than foreigners. If you want to meet 3 French people, 2 Japanese, 4 Koreans, 2 Aussies, a couple of gentlemen from England, a couple of Germans, and a bunch of Dutch people, and then South Africans in one day, no problem. In America, white bread, bro. There's one language, one type of people that look one way in this small town. Right. So I feel like a child would be better off in this environment by a long shot. And yes, they will have dual citizenship anyway upon birth, blah, blah, blah.
People like communist values. So to answer that question,
majority. Great.
Yeah. So that's a politically based question.
And let me read it out loud. People hate communists. Why are you guys live there if you don't mind?
Because
okay, great.
Personally, yes, we know your political system, but I mean that sort of doesn't correlate with everything good about this country. The people are great. Everything that we're talking about is fantastic. We live here for that reason. We tend to ignore that side of politics because what can we do? What can we do? Just ignore it. Take it for what it is. I understand that it has some, people may not agree with it, but who cares? It's a beautiful country with good people, good food. We want to do good things for the country. Like there's no need to concern ourselves too much with the political stance of the government here, really.
That's a short, yeah, it's a perfect way of
I
saying
mean, we've got our problems back home. We're not a communist-based government. We've got our big problems too. So does America. So does every country. The government is separate from the country itself and the people. It doesn't represent your people or what they stand for, majority of them. So, I mean, I completely separate those two things. You know, it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. If you want to let it affect you, you can. But, you know, there's no real reason to. It doesn't affect us on a daily basis whatsoever.
Sure.
Yep.
And to be fair,
sorry.
Fire away.
Yeah, Cuba is the only true communist country around these days. Yes, people might think Vietnam is communist, quotation marks, but they thrive off capitalism. They really do.
Right.
If you go to either of the two major cities in the north or the south, a large sum of the government's money is drawn from those successful capitalist-based companies that are, you know, gone international, whatever. So, you know, there's a sort of irony there. It's true. It's really not, you know, representing the true form of the word whatsoever by any means. It doesn't. You go to Da Nang and it doesn't seem much different from Melbourne. Businesses are thriving. There's development going on. Whatever, you know. There might be just a single party here, but apart from that, once again, it doesn't affect us on a personal level at all.
And I don't think that if it's a one-party system versus a two-party system, bang, two-party system is always better every time, and a one-party system is terrible every time. I don't think that way. Again, nor do I care that much, you know. And yes, you're right. It's not actually communistic. It's a socialist republic of Vietnam.
Exactly.
But
it's just this common thing in the world. Oh, isn't that, you know, every time you live in Vietnam, aren't they communist? No.
Not really.
No.
Not in terms of practical definitions, like you said.
If you look at the raw definition in the book, no.
Right. And actually, it's funny when I sit around and I talk with my dad, who does construction, and my uncles who do constructions and additions on houses and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, Dad, guess what? In Vietnam, if you want to put an addition on your house, you make 2 phone calls. One, to a guy who knows how to put an addition on your house, and he'll probably drop by for beers. And then 2, to the guy who sells the materials and shit, and then you tell him when to drop them off. Then you sit back, and all of a sudden you got an addition on your house, you know, probably a week later or whatever the case is. Now, that's it. You know, a little cash here, a little cash there, call it a day. Now, Dad, in our ultra-free, non-communistic, you know, freedom-loving, eagles everywhere kind of world, walk me through the steps involved in putting an addition on your house. Well, you got to get a permit here. You got to get permission from the government here. You got to be able to check with like the local housing authorities and what are the ordinances in the area. Then you got to be able to submit these plans. They got to get approved by this person, and it's got to have an inspector here. And you have to have the surveyor guy here, and then the insurance here, and then you have to be certified. Right. Ding, 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 ding. We're 20 items deep before we even swung a hammer to put in the first nail. Right. Who are the communists? You know, who's the government controlling everything country, and who's the laissez-faire freedom capitalistic country in a practical on the ground sense? Right. Yep. So I bring up that example often because a lot of they're communists, right? Well, walk me through it. Let's compare these. A lot of folks are like, oh man, that sounds like the freest country I've ever been to.
It is. Yeah.
It is.
It really
is. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the political situation, the freedom and this and that. Look, we can define freedom in a lot of different ways. Okay.
There is one factor though that I would touch on is the freedom of speech here. Obviously, that is
okay.
Censored.
Go ahead.
That is censored. Obviously, that's common knowledge. You probably, if you disagree with that, with the party that exists here, if you disagree with their stance or what they're doing, don't go public about it and make a big scene. They obviously will. They often do something about that. You might get in trouble if you're an activist or whatever, but once again, it does not affect us in the slightest. Because it doesn't, I don't take any active,
stance.
Yeah, no, I'm not bothered by it at all. I just enjoy the country for what it is and enjoy the people for what they are, who they are. And, I don't even, the political, it's over my head.
Right.
Even though I may not agree with some things that happen here, whatever. I'm going to get the same in Australia. In America, I'm going to get the same again. Wherever you go, you're not going to agree. That's the whole point of having governments. They do things wrong, and that's why that's why nowhere's perfect, really.
Right.
Nowhere's perfect.
Right. And I've had this discussion in Vietnamese with Vietnamese people where they're like, I want to go to America because it's free. I'm like, great. Well, define that for me. Well, I don't know. It's just free. Again, define that for me. well, in Vietnam, we can't really talk bad about the government, but in America, you can. I'm like, so let me rephrase everything you just said. You want to be able to go to America to have the freedom to speak bad about it. I see. So your definition of freedom is to go there and bitch and complain and moan about the country that you're about America. What's the point of that? That's ridiculous. Like,
and the bad things you're saying about the government have absolutely no effect
on no effect at all. So and no matter what you say, you look like an asshole.
Unless you physically join politics yourself or start a movement that becomes successful, it's just it's complaining in the simplest form, really.
Right.
And you've just got the freedom to do it. And no one will say anything about it. And it's not really something to boast. It's a sad thing, really.
Right. And I bring up to folks like in Vietnam, like, hey, how many news sources are there in Vietnam? Well, and the answer is 100. But I'm like, how many news sources are there in America? And the answer is like deep in the 10,000s, not including any of the social media thing. I'm like, great. So the simple fact that you have 10,000 sources, what percent of those are you going to pay attention to anyway? Great. So who gives a shit that they have a bunch of political freedom and can say whatever they want and there's 10,000 sources?
And just to answer that, Vietnamese people can't vote themselves. Yes, they can't. But in Australia is obviously democracy, and every single party that is contesting at the moment, the whole country doesn't want to vote for one of them because they've all got holes. They can't agree with one single party. So I wouldn't say that's really a benefit to us, because if I go back home and I look at I'm looking at the stuff-ups of the things that are not good about every party, like I end up donkey voting. I end up just doing a random vote because I can't really side with any of them because they're all terrible. So you might think that we're living in a country where we've got a lot more choices, but at the end of the day, they're all making mistakes. So whatever, it's the same. I wouldn't say it's really, it's hard. It's hard to choose one when you don't really agree with any of them. So at least here, you don't have to make that choice,
Yeah, right on. And no, and part of this too is coming down to our personalities. Again, we're not social activists to begin with. That does not interest me. I am the opposite of social activists. I would never do a protest of any kind. That all seems pointless as hell to me.
No, I think never ever complain about anything unless you're physically willing to go out and do something about it. I'm not willing to change anything about this country politically. Therefore, I'm going to ignore it completely. Simple as that. It's going to make my life a lot more peaceful.
Oh, exactly. I've gotten 4 tickets for not wearing a seatbelt. I doubt that happens there. In Vietnam, if I was driving my motorbike while holding a beer and the police stopped me, the beer wouldn't even come up in conversation. They wouldn't even mention it. They would just be like,
where his beer is.
Right. Or if I didn't have a helmet, for example, he'd probably issue me a ticket right there or whatever the case is. I don't know. But for the most part, it's pretty relaxed. If
people choose to wear helmets because they want to be safe.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, it's simple
as
that.
Just do the right thing because it's the right thing.
The policemen in most parts of the states are revenue stream for the local government. Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to admit that it is similar here. Actually, to be honest, they are cracking down because the road toll per year is so high in Vietnam. They are cracking down on it, but the society thinks that it is a revenue raising, which it can be. Once again, any country, it's just any country, no matter where you go. Australia, yes, they got speed cameras in the bushes, and they're not really out to catch people for speeding for safety reasons. They're out to make money. Here, yes, whatever. They might take a bit of money. It's just this shit's worldwide.
Right.
It's going to happen anyway. It's going to be a little bit of corruption. It's going to be a little bit of bullshit. It's fine.
Right.
Just roll with it.
Well, they don't speed camera here, and they're not going to bust you for using a cell phone. They're going to be like, at your own risk, bro.
You want to die?
Yeah.
We're making our roads safer.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all about degree, right? Like in Australia, what would happen if you're out in public in front of a policeman and then you flick 3 cigarettes in the ground?
Yeah, fine. Probably, yeah.
Immediately. How much? I don't know. Maybe you don't know.
Oh, God, yeah.
Probably a couple hundred is what I heard.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
On the phone, that's, fine. You might get a ban as well.
Right. When I live in New York City, I would have to budget $300 to $400 a month for parking tickets. Right.
See, that's one I can't agree with. I can agree with the drink driving or the whatever being on the phone because it is potentially saving lives. But the whole parking thing as a revenue raiser doesn't exist here. Once again,
No. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I did park my bike out in front of Brown Eyes for like 5 days because, I just bicycle around. So, yeah. And then eventually the cops did come and pick it up because the people at Brown Eyes were like, I don't know who's this guy,
Yeah, right.
But what was it? $6 to go and pick it up, which I'm happy to hey, you guys showed up, hauled it, and then brought it into the police station, kept it under safekeeping for a handful of, sure, here's my $6. But they're not out there to get rich over it. No, and it makes sense. I got littering tickets for 300 USD 15 years ago.
It's about $1,000 today then.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. And let's all agree here that littering is a bad thing. Okay, let's agree. But $500? Come on. Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean the fines, legalities, and angles like that, if I use the word Gestapo, strict, whatever, I would consider the United States way stricter in almost every measurement than Vietnam. My aunt had a difficult time trying to drive home because she had to bring a lawnmower plus 2 kids. And then the policeman was pulling out the book like, well, technically your child is under the age of 13. And so as a result, needs to have a booster seat to lift his butt from here to here. And it has to be a certified booster seat with the stamp of approval from blah, 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 blah. And until then, you're not able to drive away with your own children. Yeah.
Until then, you're a felon.
Yeah, it's like, and she's like, you don't have kids, do you? Like, I gotta get. How do you want me to do this? Like, yeah, that situation would not happen in Vietnam. No way. They'd be because they're practical here, So yeah. Anyway, please teach Vietnamese not to litter. Yeah. Look. I do a litter cleanup program. Here's what I did want to say. The angles of the government and so forth that I see are different than probably average. For example, I met the guy who is the lead gentleman of the People's Committee of Hue, Hue, and he set up a litter cleanup program called Green Sunday on every Sunday, where they get a bunch of bicycles together, load everybody up, and go and clean up litter throughout the community, parks, and outside edges of town. That's terrific. With all that said, that's a beautiful angle of the government, a beautiful step in the right direction. Yeah,
the big majority of people, or the large majority of people are being proactive.
Yeah.
So there may be a few old mindsets that are hard to change in terms of littering, just out of habit, but the majority are still,
it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
People are taking the initiative. Just take care of your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it out. Clean up. Simple as that. You won't have any problems. Yep.
And this has a major effect because, the guys with the bike shop is like, here, take all the bikes you want. The guys with coffee shops in the area is like, hey, can we offer free coffee to all your volunteers? Smile for the pick. And everybody in politics wants to be as involved as possible. So yeah, when I went out for the Green Sunday, the mayor was there, the guy, one of the judges was there. One of the all these political people want to get some FaceTime there too.
Yeah.
Which is great because it's a highly positive thing for a lot of people to say wow, look at these 5 dudes doing their best to actually, with gloves on, to do cleanup by hand. Yes, lead by example. I love that. And I see that. So when I look at politics, I don't have experience with all this underlying bullshitty stuff that I don't care about. I look at the real practical on the ground, the guy I can shake his hand and look him in the eye and clean up some trash with him, that guy. And I look at it from that perspective and I dig it, So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful trends in this regard. So I would love a Green Sunday thing here in Chavin, but the problem is we don't have recycling center. So everything goes to the tip. And yeah, sure. I can't speak for every other state or every other area and so forth, but yeah. This is a general trend that I'm seeing in Vietnam in general. In fact, I just recorded a episode for VTV4 specifically about the cleanup campaigns that are going on in central Vietnam. the recycling efforts, the reusing efforts, the Green Sunday program, the stand-up paddleboarding, where you go out and stand-up paddleboard and you get clean up trash on the river, that kind of thing. Yep, this is all real, totally a thing. And I'm looking forward to that airing this next Wednesday, because a lot of other folks in the whole country will be able to see what that's all about. So anyway, it's moving in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So, I would say Obama wanted to turn America into ... Green Sunday, not using single-use plastic. Yeah, these are things that are coming around. Again, I'm going to say this, keep saying this. The last 5 years has been radical, very radical for Vietnam in a huge way. When you get tourism growth going up by, let's say, 20, 25, 30% per year, yeah, it only takes like a couple years, well, technically 2.5 years, 3 years for everything to double. That means like the number of hotels, double. The number of bars, double. The number of people coming here to help out, double. The amount of money that pours into Vietnam from the tourism industry doubles. Now, some people might argue that having a lot of tourists or being too crowded or touristic-y is a bad thing. I know what they're talking about, and that's probably true in some ways, sure. But on the other hand, I look at it in a different way. First of all, if you go to the most heavily touristic areas, the #1 rated on TripAdvisor, the most touristic reviews, and then you go to the heart of it, especially at the highest rated TripAdvisor touristy place, and then look left, look right, you're going to see a lot of tourists. How about that? If you go to a place that's not documented whatsoever, you're going to see none. How about that? Use your common sense here. Now, another thing is, you could take certain beaches, let's just say, like around the Da Nang area, those of which that have no development of any kind, meaning they have no restaurants, no hotels nearby, no food options, no drink options, no chairs, nothing, no boat, nothing. You can go there. Yeah, there's a bunch of beaches that offer or that have damn near nothing there. Yep. Now, a lot of times, believe it or not, those are going to be dirtier than other beaches. What I mean is, you go to a somewhat popular area, that place is going to be immaculate. Yeah, because people are actually out there. Tax revenue is actually generated. People are actually own this chunk of land and purposely go out and purposely clean up cigarette butts and sweep it all up every day. Yep. The city pays for people who go around on boats and scoop up, garbage and so forth out in the area. Yep, that's totally real. And so in reality, having tourists there makes it better. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. Another good example, here in Hue City, we have the Hue River, the main drag that goes right through the city. Now, it was actually in a joint effort, specifically Korea made the big old investment, and we're talking in American dollars, like $250,000 or $300,000, something like that, to build the walking boardwalk thing out by Hue River,
which they've taken a lot of pride in.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It heavily revolves around tourism and the city and everything, and they do realize now that's a big factor that will affect tourism. So, it's not only going to make the country more beautiful, it's going to make the country a whole lot more money too, because people do want to come here. They're taking pride in keeping that clean, and it's immaculate, really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And actually, while I was out paddleboarding yesterday, I saw 3 guys on 2 separate boats going around, putting around with the big net basket thing,
getting it done,
picking up trash
slowly but surely.
Yep. But you send those boys out once a day, and it doesn't take that much work, and they're probably chain smoking the whole way. Yeah, and they make the river beautiful, and that's great. So in reality, if we compare having almost no tourists, then there's very low tax revenue there, very few people who care, very few things to see, and even if you're there, there's no food or drinks or whatever, blah, 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 and nothing changes. But as soon as you bring in, again, this walking bridge thing, bring in more people, have people come out taking selfies, have people talk about this area. Well, now there's incentives left and right, So as a result, it actually makes it more beautiful the more people that are interested in it. So I've seen this happen again and again, over and over and over and over again. The more people that come in, the cleaner it gets, not the dirtier. In my realistic firsthand experience,
with the exception of a few places, but
well, you can find exceptions.
They're under that. They're under it. Mm-hmm. They're doing the right things to make the change there.
Yeah, because there's an unfortunate issue going to the abandoned water park in town here. It's by definition an abandoned water park. By definition, there's no food and drinks in there. By definition, there's no cleanup services there. So they get all kinds of folks who are just like, yeah, I went to the abandoned water park, which again hasn't been serviced in the last, 10 years. There's a lot of litter there, a lot of graffiti, and it was kind of dirty. Ugh. No shit. That's a poor view of the countryside and city, I think. But now, when we're talking about trends, here in Vietnam, yes, it's true. There's more people that want to come here, more people that want to live here. There's more gym membership opportunities, There's more flights coming here that are, as a result, cheaper. But what would you say as well? What are some other trends that you've seen in the last 5 years here in Vietnam?
Well, I've only been here for just over 2, but
fair enough.
I came here for the first time probably 3 or 4 years ago now, 4 years ago. But I would just say it's developing in every aspect in the right way, really. Simple as that. In terms of tourism, obviously, is booming here as always, which it's like a ripple effect. Obviously, tourism is booming, so they want to keep the place clean. And, and just things are developing. There's more flights available. There's more accommodation available. The place is becoming cleaner, much cleaner than it was, which is good. Often there's the mindset that tourism or whatever can make it worse, but I think it's making it better because they are taking more pride in every aspect in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the pollution. Yes, there is active programs to fight against it. So there's not really a bad aspect of the development side of living here. Meeting expats. Yeah, there's a lot of expats here, mate. In this city specifically, in Hue, it's probably less compared to other cities, obviously, because the population is much less. And it's a very small percentage of people who do want to live in the city, which is fine, because that filters out the ones that don't. It doesn't suit for them personally, which is fine. Once again, it's each their own. But yeah, there's plenty of expats here, and the expats do tend to create a bit of a community, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's good. They stick together, they support each other, which is good. So yeah, there's plenty of expats to meet here if you want to hang out with them, which is good because you get like people from all around the world.
Fachan, good night, by the way. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, you meet people from all walks of life, all over the world, not just from Vietnam, but other countries too, which is good. And they usually have a similar mindset to what we have, which is another bonus. It's that filter effect, like people who have wanted to leave their home country and create, and they've come from all walks of life, all backgrounds, and they've ended up here as well. So it makes it even more interesting. That sort of amplifies it.
Oh yeah. Well, because when I was at home, I would say 90% of my friends were white bread, English-speaking American folks. Here, I literally know 0 American expats that are living here currently. 0. Yeah, so that's a big change, in a good way, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Yep. There are co-working spaces around. I think I know what you mean. What you mean is like a coffee shop and or cubicle effect and or a place that you can go to that has good Wi-Fi and you can work publicly and
ample. But I would actually recommend against the co-working spaces. Just go to a coffee shop.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You're going to meet more fun people. Co-working space is a bit more of a dull environment. If that's what you're into, fine. But go to any coffee shop here. Super fast Wi-Fi, clean space, perfect for working, perfect for meeting people. So it more or less by definition is a co-working space because a lot of people are doing their thing there. Mobile phone company, they're all cheap. You can compare by the matter of cents per month, really. But Yeah, just to my phone bill per month. What is it? I get 2 gigabytes of data per day, unlimited everything. That's about $4 a month. $4, yeah.
Just type that right into Google.
There's two main networks here, or carriers. It's Mobifone and Viettel, and they are much of a muchness, really. I mean, whatever. The first SIM I got was with Mobifone. I stayed loyal to them, and you can't fault them at all. They've got top-notch customer service. You walk in there, you can, it's just dirt cheap. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
Right.
Once again, avoiding a lot of the crap we get back home in terms of the cost and the process and whatever. Everything's like click of a finger here.
Yep,
you send a message with 3 digits, and bang, you've got your money for the month, and it's all sorted. Super fast internet. Unlimited calls to not only your own provider but all the other ones. I mean, it's just like everything.
Yeah,
which is another benefit of Vietnam, because they specifically made that choice to have to have readily available high speed internet access, just to yeah, there you go. So you can't really go wrong. That's even better than what I've got. I mean, I can't use what I've got. I've got 2 gigs a day and then unlimited everything else for 90K a month. If I want to save $1 or $2 a month, I can change. But once again, I don't really need to. It's fine.
Yeah. No doubt, Rob. Like the data and technology and access to data. I wanted to be very clear about these factual numbers that I actually looked up and can say with certainty. America has about 70% of cell phone market penetration, which is to say 70% of people in America have a cell phone of some kind that's otherwise connected to a cell phone network. 30% do not. Okay. Now, Vietnam has 165% cell phone market penetration.
One person has 1.6.
Yeah, one person. Yeah. So that means
literally they have a big phone and a small phone.
Yeah. That's like literally people have like 2 or 3 because
you can do that.
What the fuck? Yeah.
It is cheaper relatively too. Once again, people say, "Oh, it's just because Vietnam's cheap in general." No, if you multiply it to the factor of our wages back home, well, say the cost of living in Australia is 6 times Vietnam. Okay, I'm going to times $4 a month by 6, $24. No, you're never going to get that in Australia. $24.
No,
never.
No,
that's like it's a couple of kilobytes and a 2-minute phone call, and so, you've run out of data or something.
You've got
to upgrade your plan. Yeah, just ridiculous. I was paying for an unlimited service, unlimited everything back in Australia for fucking in American dollars, maybe $80 or $90 a month. Something
80, 90?
Yeah, something ridiculous. A large chunk of what your salary is back home, even.
Oh yeah, like 5% or whatever the case is.
Yep.
No,
you don't need home internet if you don't want it. The place that I've just moved into had a problem with the Wi-Fi for a few weeks, which didn't bother me whatsoever because I would just connect my laptop using the hotspot to my mobile phone, which had incredibly high-speed internet, and it kind of made me lazy to get the Wi-Fi fixed because I didn't need it, really.
Right.
And like I can go out to rural areas with my provider, and I've still got full service.
Right.
Full service, 24/7.
Yep. And then to give you some numbers, my home internet is 50 megabits a second. 50 megabits a second. And
more than you need.
Yeah. And it costs me for about $18 a month. Yeah, for 50 megabit internet, no questions asked, good to go. Now my cell phone will give me about 8 megabits a second, which is enough for HD 4K video, no problem.
Yeah,
which is more than I would need to do a Skype phone call with video.
4 or 5. You want to be above that, don't you?
4 would be decent. 4. Yeah, would do the job.
My phone on average would run at 20 to 30. Easy.
Oh, you mean your data plan will get you 20 to 30 megabits?
Yep.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Got it.
Once again, more than that.
Right. So actually, believe it or not, coming to Vietnam, the technology is a major positive. The technology here is awesome. Access to cell phones is better in Vietnam than America. And internet is faster in Vietnam than America.
And every single place has free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
If you don't have a SIM card, there's no real, you can't lose in any aspect.
Yeah. 1.5, 15 megabits per second, if I see this right. Right. Yeah, that was a mind blow once I got here. Like, what? It's faster. Sure is, bro. Yep. Then there's a lot of reasons for that, but it adds up, and that's a big deal. So actually, questions of digital anything is not really a question out here, or not really a difficulty. In fact, it's, I would say, a major positive. That it's just easy to get around, easy to get along, with all this magic. So anyway, yep, access to digital definitely higher. A lot of things higher. There's a lot of digital nomads that want to live out here in Vietnam.
The perfect place.
Yeah, it's perfect.
In every aspect.
Cheap,
internet, unlimited places that are perfect for working, just everything. Yeah, cost of living in every aspect.
Every angle, food.
Free Wi-Fi wherever you go. You can sit there from the very minute they open to the minute they close. You can even if you're sketchy, if you're really frugal, you don't even have to order a drink there. I mean, you'd be nuts too, but it just goes to show they don't mind. It's cool. It's just that readily available everywhere. There's no password, half time, or that it's pasted everywhere so you can get it.
Right.
In every terms of technology or electronically speaking, it's just they take the cake compared to our countries.
Oh, certainly.
Yep.
And while we're on the topic too, they have gaming centers here in Vietnam that we don't really have in America, to my knowledge. I've never seen one. But basically what that means is they put you on like a $2,000 computer, complete with headphones, a full recliner, and a call button. Bang! You hit the call button, they have a full menu of food and drinks. Oh, I would like 4 beers, a bowl of soup, and a coffee, and a 2-liter bottle of water, and a bucket of ice, please. Okay. And they'll bring that right next to your lazy boy recliner chair, while you're on a $2,000 computer. Yeah. Okay. And this is like 60 cents an hour. Yeah. A lot of Vietnamese people don't even bother buying a gaming computer because the most expensive one is 60 cents an hour to just use theirs. It's perfect. So yeah, if you're a digital nomad, don't be afraid of that plan. Jesus. I know you've been to a gaming center before, right? Or no?
Not over here. No, I've only just walked into one, but yeah, once again.
You've seen thousands of them, yeah.
Every corner, almost just like everything.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yep, everywhere.
Okay. Sam Brad seems very able to make friends there, and has discussed how. I'm not sure if you're married too, but if not, it's easy to meet women. But when I move throughout Asia, it will be as a single guy.
Yes.
Quentin, same as mine here in Hue, except I pay like $2 a month at most. Okay, so Quentin, you're talking about not women. You're talking about phone plans, I imagine. Yeah.
$2 per month, yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah. I've been overpaying. Yeah, but anyway, okay, great. Well, I'm currently married right now, although I have traveled Vietnam as a single man. But you know what I'm going to say? Learn the language. If you know the language, you're winning. If you don't, you're an idiot. But anyway, Sam, you've got plenty of direct experience in this one.
Yeah. No.
What would you say about women in general, dating in general, meeting people, etc.? What can you say?
It's incredibly easy. Yeah. If you come, no, I'm not married. Didn't answer your question. Now's not the time for me. But if you are coming here looking for that, which I know a lot of people are, yes, you'll have no problems at all. Just be proactive. Even if you're lazy, not proactive, you don't speak the local language, it's still going to be easy. It's still going to be incredibly easy. Just get out there and meet people. Simple as that. And more often than not, they're going to be interested in you, wanting to meet you. In terms of meeting women, so easy. It's a country of close to 100 million people. I think it's about 96 or 97 right now. They obviously like meeting foreigners and we like meeting them. It just depends. I'm not sure what your intentions are personally, but to answer your question straightforward, no, it's not difficult at all. It's incredibly easy. And I'm sure you'd agree with that with me, Brad.
Right. And what tips would you say to meet more?
Get out of your comfort zone. Don't hang around at your hotel. Don't hang around and just get out and meet people. Simple as that. Just talk to anybody. Simple as that. And then you can't go wrong from there. Get out and talk to people. And if you still don't have any luck, then you're probably doing something wrong. But I can assure you that you won't find it too difficult to find someone to date.
What about apps like Tinder, Facebook, technology?
I don't think they're necessary. Just go out and meet people face to face, the old-fashioned way, and you're going to be good from there. You might meet people you're not interested in. It's fine. Move on to the next place. If you're looking for something long-term, you're definitely going to have luck here. of course. But yeah, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and Long Dong, my buddy, he got to the point where he sent me a message. He's like, Brad, I need a secretary. I'm like, what? Well, every single place he goes, like they ask your top 5 questions in Vietnamese. You know, how old are you?
Where you're from? Are you married yet?
Married yet? Yeah. Why is that so high on the list? Well, because if you're not, nothing makes a Vietnamese grandmother happier than introducing a person to a person. That's what they do. They sit around with no TV, no YouTube, no social media. Their social media is introducing their granddaughters or nephews or nieces or whatever to potential people. Nothing would make her happier. So that's what they're like waiting for. Right. So if you meet, the people at the market, like if I took a single guy to the market right now, and yes,
they will pounce on you.
You will pounce on you.
Right.
It will be like, oh, wait here. Eat this free soup and have these free drinks because my niece gets off of work in 10 minutes and she'll be right here. Right. It feels like that. So I don't have any experience either with apps or anything like that. That doesn't interest me. And I think it's a waste of time. Let me rephrase. That seems more difficult than just, meeting people, doing your thing. Because I even have it where I'm like, oh, I'm married here. Rats. You know, there's almost like a slightly disappointed face, you know, that a few folks have because they're like, you know, oh, I want to introduce you. Yeah. So that's a big one. Long Dong, he was, to my recollection, if he's still on the call here, we could add it. Add his comments, I meant to say. But I mean, he had like, oh man, in 1 week, he had like 12 distinct dates with 12 distinct different women at 12 different locations in 1 week. So yeah, and he was starting to feel overwhelmed, but that was pretty normal here. That's kind of how it is in Vietnam. They're highly networky and highly social. Now, how does dating vary from here to the West? Well, I'll field this one first, and I want your comments, of course, too, Sam. What I can say is, you'll find what you're looking for. Okay, so I got to bring this up. My buddy Don, good guy, wonderful guy, good-looking guy, honest guy. But the problem is, he's looking for women out at the backpacker Westerner bars. Only women that speak English, only women who are in their like 40s or 50s, ideally married and divorced already. Oh, it's nice if they have tattoos and like drinking and like staying out late and fuck on the first date and what are the odds you get a crazy one? Almost 100. Yeah. So, after his 11th crazy in a row comes down to the 12th and I'm just waiting. Oh, we just broke up. Why? Oh, she was crazy too. Right. You'll find that if you stick in the expat bubble and live in the expat bubble, you're going to find that they're going to be expat searching kind of blah. It's a bad place to look. Now, if you mean business, you do it the old-fashioned way. Go out, meet people, meet the grandmothers even, meet everybody, and then just meet people on the street, have a nice business card, have a phone number, have or a Facebook link or whatever, and go out for coffee and take things slow. I mean, if you go into a relationship thinking like, oh, I'm king shit. You got to learn my language. You got to act like me. I'll pay for everything for you. Oh, yeah, I'll be your sugar daddy and follow me. And because you're with me and because I'm a superior, kind of person from a superior country, superior race, everyone's going to think that you've done so well because you're with a guy as awesome as me. Yeah. If you have that attitude, you're going to find counterfeit people. That means you're going to find counterfeit women, and the situations that you are in are going to be counterfeit. Even a marriage is going to be counterfeit. They're marrying you for the money, for the visa, because of who you are, to learn English, whatever. Right. So if you walk in with that mentality, you're fucked. If you walk in, hoping for a squeeze and hoping for a side chick or some damn thing, you'll probably find it, but you're going to also find she's counterfeit. If you come here with an open mind, come here patient, come here wanting to learn more, come here wanting to learn more Vietnamese, come here wanting to learn, like, tell me about your relationship style, tell me about your view of the world, tell me about yourself, tell me about your life and your dreams. You're going to find someone genuine. So that's a broad way of putting it. How would it differ? Well, look, being romantic is langman. Being romantic is being romantic. Being thoughtful is being thoughtful. Being honest is being honest. Being a good listener is being a good listener. Those aspects are all the same. Now, maybe what you're wondering, Rusty, is there like gotchas in the dating process and so forth? Yeah, I suppose so. What's different here is you're coming here as a Westerner and as an outsider. So that by its very definition, nature, and situation is going to create a different world and a different, dynamic, right? Examples. Okay. I get my picture taken a lot here, and so does Tan Lai, my wife now. When I first went out with her on our first date, I'm like, yeah, probably 8 people are going to take our picture today. She's like, why? That's never happened to me. Right. We went out. Oh, yeah. I forget, 20 people want to take pictures and selfies and interviews. Yep. In other words, we're very, very public due to the circumstances. Whereas if I was a Vietnamese guy, that would not be true. And if I was in my home country, that would not be true. So another way of saying all this is being a foreigner with a Vietnamese wife, just by its very definition, we are more in the public eye, and people pay attention more. Perhaps they gossip more, take more pictures, care a lot more, ask a lot more, and are a lot more concerned. Intrigued. Yeah. Which can be good, but also the 2% of people are negative. Well, that gets amplified way up too. So you are going to have way more attention put on you versus if you have a normal relationship in, let's say, America. In America, if I'm with my normal girlfriend, what are the odds someone's going to be like, stop, you two are so beautiful. Can I take your photo? I don't recall that ever happening, ever. That would be like funny and weird. But here, 10 times a day. That's a thing. Yes, dating is also different. Again, due to the geography or circumstances, a fair number of people wonder if the woman's in it just for the visa. They're not wrong, because a lot of times that's the case. So people are going to view an international relationship with a degree of suspicion that they wouldn't normally view a Vietnamese or white and white, kind of relationship. In fact, like when I go out with me and my friends and my wife, people will ask her, are you just a tour guide? Are you just like, the woman that's there to entertain everybody? And that's insulting for her, because she's like, no, this is my husband. Like, these are our friends. This is
living here comfortably with
right.
No intention of leaving.
Right.
The complete wrong idea to start with.
Right.
Which is fine. That's due to stigma, but it's very easily corrected quickly. No, we both live here together, happily married, and comfortable living here, and don't plan on going anywhere immediately. Okay, cool. That sort of takes away that question. Is it for a visa? No.
Right. Yep. Oh, no, you're right. But those kind of suspicions and ideas and so forth would not happen in America. If I'm walking around with a white American girlfriend, questions, thoughts, stigmas, ideas, rumors, that kind of stuff just would not occur at all.
You're invisible over there.
Really. Yeah, you're invisible. Yep. Right. So, yeah, that's a big deal. Much more to your point, Vietnamese, are more the good ones. Okay, you counterfeit, you'll find those everywhere. But the genuine good ones require patience and time. All right. and they're going to be more conservative. Right. They're not going to jump into bed with you right away, which is good. You know, the genuine ones, I mean. So if you're dating just to be the pimp Mac daddy, just to have as many girlfriends as you can, just to plant your flag, you'll find it. If you're not looking at that and you're looking for genuine, you'll find it. So anyway, that's kind of the skinny of it, you know, in that regard. So general things with regards to, you know, women and dating. And general things real quick. Look, if you meet a gal who is like, oh, you're from America? I have family in America. I hope to meet them someday. Would you like to have some coffee with me right now? Yeah. Can I talk to you? Careful.
Yeah,
Careful.
Just a red flag.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag. Red flag. She may or may not be totally genuine. May or may not. But the odds of being counterfeit are super high. In fact, let's just say it all came down to it. And let's say you guys did get deep into a relationship and so forth. And let's just say you said to her, I'm not going back to America. I'm living here in Vietnam forever. What are the odds her family is going to tell her to throw you away? What are the odds every friends and family of hers is going to tell her to throw you away? What are the odds she's going to throw you away? 100%. Think about it. Was your relationship genuine or counterfeit? Think about it. So beware of that dynamic. That's what I want to generally say. You know?
Yeah, it just comes down to common sense. Really.
Common sense. Yeah, right.
A really straight up way of telling which kind of one they are when you first meet them is just to, if they're already independent when you meet them, that's a good sign already. That means they're not looking for someone, you know, if they're already all good on their own as it is, that means it's more likely to be something genuine. If they're not overly keen on leaving where they are, perfect, those two combinations. One, they're independent where they live. Two, they don't want to leave. Cool. It's more likely to be genuine then. Because they're not looking to go anywhere and they're not looking to gain anything from you in that kind of aspect. So those are two really good things. One, if they are looking at you in a dependent way and they are really, 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 you've got ants in their pants to leave where they are, that's two red flags there. You know,
right.
That is not going to be, you know, their intentions are different to yours. You're looking for something genuine, long-term, whatever, and they're looking for something else. That's just the way the world works, and it's going to be like that for a long time. So you just got to roll with it and be careful if you are looking for, because there are still very, very large amount of ones out there that are sincere and genuine and real, and there are always going to be a very, very large amount of ones that they do have their alternate motive, I should say. So yeah, you just got to use your brain, and you know it's really easy to differentiate between the two within a matter of minutes. Just using being conscious.
Common sense. If you're measuring by boob size, that won't work. If you're measuring by drink count or tattoo count, it won't work. But if you measure it by look for the red flags.
Yeah, right.
You know,
within the first few minutes, I really want to go to Australia. I want to live there. And
I hate it here in Vietnam. I hate my life, but I can't wait to be.
Yeah.
Careful. Yep.
So if they can stand on their own 2 feet where they are, and they love where they are, then that's two really good signs already for you. If you are looking for something, you know, serious and long term and genuine.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And I did want to point out, like, real quick, apparently they don't do public wedding proposals here in Vietnam, but I do, and America does. In other words, you get up in front of the bar, will you marry me? Yeah, totally did that. Skydiving proposal? Yeah, buddy of mine did that. Yeah, that's a big thing. Or being otherwise public about stuff. Yeah. Being ultra romantic and different. Sending flowers to my wife at work. No one at her work has ever received flowers at work before. I'm like, really? I would think that's kind of a common thing. But romantic's romantic, you know. Yes, I did do a public proposal. Romantic's romantic, even though it's not necessarily a thing here. So I didn't check. Is this a commonly done thing in America and Vietnam? Yes or no? Don't care. Is, you know, drinking champagne at midnight watching the fireworks, is that a common thing to do in Vietnam? I don't care. That's what we're doing, you know. So anyway, it's nice to be able to go that extra mile, and romantic is romantic. Simple as that. I do like that going to street places, you know, and going to, like, taking a woman out for dinner under $5 American. Totally doable. Yeah, that's totally doable. In America, if you spend less than 50, it's like on a first date, you're like, Do you give a damn or don't you?
Yeah.
You know. So it's cheaper here, which is good. Can be done over coffee, that kind of thing. But anyway, we're wrapping up here kind of soon. But in general, these are a lot of different angles: politically, work-wise, money-wise, relationship-wise, tourism-wise, health-wise. A lot of different angles, internet and phones. A lot of different angles of life out here. But for me personally, I think I found a winner. I've never questioned. Now that I'm here, I would never want to live anywhere else. It's all there is to it. Yeah, the language factor is a big one. The people, a lot of things. But yeah, we've covered a lot. But did you have any other thoughts, like about why Vietnam and why here?
Not overly. I think just come and find out for yourself. You can have other people tell you about some place until the cows come home. But I've had plenty of people tell me other places are incredible, perfect. I went there, didn't like it. I've had plenty of people say the opposite. Shit place, don't go. I've loved it. So you've got to come out here and do it. Like, spend your time in the trenches, and then you'll know I like it or I don't. Just trying to make a positive argument before coming here. You might come here and not like it, but you don't know until you do that. So it's simple as that. Come in and find out. Yeah,
yeah. It's a pretty respectably decent though.
Yeah,
it'll turn out to be a win for you.
Right.
We would hope so.
Right.
Regardless of your goals. But but you guys had incredibly good questions, great comments. Again, we're wrapping up soon, but I want to say, Rob, appreciate you coming by. You too there, Rachel. And Teresa, good to have you on board. Rusty, welcome as always. You always jump in about halfway through, which is perfect, brother. Quentin, have a good morning, my friend. I'm going down to DMZ today, so see you there if you want to. Yep. Yeah, Rusty. Yep. Keep grimming. And yeah, appreciate the support. Teresa, if you're still there. Peter, keep grinning. And yeah, it's going to be a beautiful one ahead of us. Back to work. You know, kind of thing. But yeah,
that's
close out.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Sam.
Right.
Thanks, Sam, for making an appearance.
Right,
I know it's an investment. What the hell? But cheers, y'all.